All right. So we're gonna try something. Don't know if it's exactly going to work out like I want it to, but I got these other Half-Life 1 expansion games that I wanted to try out, Blue Shift and Opposing Force, and they're old, so I'm gonna have to see how. I want to do Blue Shift first, I think. And I may need to figure out how I'm gonna stretch it or capture the screen or something. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to fiddle around with this for a second. Is that, yeah, it's like full screen on my monitor, but not so much on your monitor, it doesn't seem, or on the stream monitor. Which is weird, because the other regular Half-Life 1 is very loud as well. You can't hear that. That's quite loud. Okay, yeah, that is just incredibly low. It's gonna be a pain in the ass. Give me half a minute. That needs to be... I think that's right. Okay. I might have to add a, let me see, like a capture, like a window capture. Let's do that. Old games. Hey, what's going on? Sorry, I'm trying to get these old Half-Life 1 things to work, because they don't do 1080p. They're like very, very low res, and they like have their own intro like program, and when you hit new game it launches the actual game in another I don't know. Hold on. It shouldn't take that long though. Window. Why is that not there? That's very odd. No, I tried everything. I spent a lot of time on that for nothing. It was pretty bad. Oh shit. Cancel. Like, I spend way too much fucking time on that. And I really want to play it. I really, really do. I just have no clue. Because most of the things that I saw were for Unreal 1 Gold Edition. I don't have that. I just have Unreal 1. It's the original OG game. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. Sadly. The capture. How odd. That is so fucking weird. That. Let me try to let's see, that's, you know what, that's probably like 400 by 800, and the shitty thing is that, like, this is full screen for me on my monitor. Like, if I go to configuration and like video, you go to video modes, see it's there, 1280 by 960, which is whatever, but even then, like, this isn't that. I actually have to start the game, medium, and then it launches another game in a different resolution.
And welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This
So I want to pause it. When it does that, I don't know what's happening. I have no clue. Oh my gosh. Okay. I can't. Like if I alt tab, it tabs out to. This is the fucking wonkiest shit ever.
Is provided for the comfort and convenience of Black Mesa residents.
I mean, I guess I could play it like that, but
and visitor to the Black Mesa Research Facility. The time is 8:42 a.m.
that's like super freaking annoying though.
91.
If I hit Windows key. I wonder if there's like a way to force it to stretch out like that. Oh, I used to I used to do RPG. Oh, Ryan, it's doing weird meows. I don't like it. I used to do RPG Maker streams. It was RPG Maker Fest streams on the DS, and it actually wasn't awful, weirdly enough. I mean, it was as good as you could do without buying a modded DS. But I had a webcam like right in front of me, and I had that DS and that little stand, and it actually was decent. I mean, for what it was. But I'm wondering if I can like capture. Okay, so there's my middle screen. Capture method. I don't know what these are. I've never fucked around with that before. Oh yeah. Did it have the did it give you those like weird lines because the refresh rate was different? See, what is this doing now? Oh, this is. Wait, what is actually happening here? If I gotta resume. That was very loud. That is like incredibly loud. Man, that is so annoying. Holy shit, this is so annoying. In what world? That's funny. In what world do you have your like main option menu be forced at a resolution that's different than your game and have to switch every time? That seems so like antiquated. What happens if I do software rendering? Video options doesn't do anything. Done. Try to do a new game. Oh.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided
Oh no, it's not even.
Of Black Mesa residents
Oh.
and visitors to the Black Mesa Research Facility.
Like in the game moving around, I can hear the sound going left and right.
42
But it's just my
current topside.
My fucking monitor. Dude, what the hell? What is this?
Is 91 degrees with an estimated high today
This
of
blows.
105.
This fucking blows. Oh god. I thought like I had it going. That's why I came on, but I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'll just have to play something else. Damn, I really wanted to play these though, online. On stream, I mean. For the software, what's direct 3D mode? B3D. Let's see if that works. It's... Oh wait, this is doing something.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa
Oh wait,
Transit
what's
System.
going on here?
This automated train
This is like full screen
provided
now.
for the comfort
It's not on the...
of Black Mesa residents and visitors to the Black
on there,
Mesa
though.
Research Facility. The time is 8:42 a.m. Current topside temperature
This is actually much, much better,
degrees.
but maybe not.
Estimated cloud today
For viewing.
the Black Mesa compound is maintained.
See, I want to hit... God, that's so fucking annoying. Holy shit. Like, I wish there was something on here to like... What is force SDR? Let's see what that is. I have no idea what that is. Or maybe this duplication thing. The Windows 10 duplication thing. Okay, well now it's the black screen now. Here, what if I close it and then reopen it and try it? That may actually work. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Here, I'm fine with that. I don't care about that. It worked, and then I tabbed out, and then it didn't. God. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad everything's like homogenized now. It's like a nightmare. Yeah. That's kind of funny too. I have never seen that old Valve intro. So if I go here and here and then here, I'm on D3. Okay, does that seem to... So, new game, medium. Let's see what it does.
Good morning,
Oh,
and
she's
welcome,
there.
and
God
welcome,
damn it.
and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated
It's like
train is
stretched
provided
out on my monitor. It's literally filling the entire
Black
monitor.
Mesa residents and visitors to the Black Mesa Research Facility. The time is 8.
And I guess Alt Enter does nothing.
Current topside temperature is 91.
Man, I'm not gonna play like that though. That's gonna bother the hell out of me. I wouldn't want to watch that. It's fine. I'll figure it out later. Damn. I did really want to play that. So there's a bunch of shit I was gonna watch today anyway. It's not a big deal. Oh, thank you. Alright. Let me there's some stuff I did want to get to. Completely threw me off. So I want to see what's up with the Completionist scamming people out of, I guess some new information dropped today. And, doesn't sound good. Change my Twitch to just chatting. I think I have my YouTube set on entertainment, which is a goddamn lie. There's nothing entertaining about this. That's okay. I'm still here for it. People just shitting on each other consistently. Oh, it was in my watch later. Yeah, no. What do you mean, that first one? Because this just came out. I haven't watched it yet. 5 hours ago. It says the completionist charity situation gets worse. So if anyone watches this, some people actually watch my shit afterwards on YouTube. Not many, but the completionist, super nice guy. Kind of just a straight laced dude. Mom died of dementia related disease, and he made a charity. He has taken over $$55,000, and he hasn't spent it, but he hasn't donated it either, and shit's getting weird. So that was like, that's as much as I know, and this just came out, so may not be super great here. Let me okay, let's see. Yeah, and the Pokimane thing I covered last night. Oh my god, that shit is fucking stupid. Those people have no idea.
Gals, me Mutahar, and today
like those big streamers they've lost touch with like what a dollar means. It is so fucking annoying. I never will, but if I ever get like that, like somebody could break my legs if I ever do some shit like that. It is wild. Okay.
Update video. Now, about a week ago, I made a video in regards to the Completionist and a possible charity situation where $655,000 has not been donated to as of today. Now, as of me filming this video right now, there has been no actual statement from the Completionist.
Yep.
From
what, radio silence
with the Open Hand Foundation. It's been almost
right. Radio silence, just 100%. I haven't actually checked. I did play Sea of Stars, and they put him in that game, which, by the way, that shit took me out real fast. I love Sea of Stars. But when I saw Gerard the Constructionist, that shit pulled me out of that fantasy world so goddamn fast. But the funny thing is, like, you go to him, and he asks for donations to build this village. Oh god. That aged so terribly. Like fucking milk in Texas summer. God damn it. Let me change my title real quick. Situation update, I guess. Let's see.
A week, and let's just say it's a little bit irregular, but not really. Let me get into exactly what it is. So to give you a recap of the situation, me and Carl looked into the Open Hand Foundation, specifically their IRS tax filings, and we came to a finding
of a
large discrepancy where $0 was donated to charities, despite statements being made throughout the year's various indie land fundraising drives.
That raises money for dementia research and treatment for organizations all over the world. We're soon going to be partnering up with the Alzheimer's Association, currently working with the University of San Francisco.
No, you're not.
And we're kind of one of their main...
no, you're not. You're not their main anything. You're not their main anything.
Funding,
nope.
Support partners.
The lie detest determined that was a lie. Have you, do you know how they, like, fell into this? Like, how Mutahar and that Carl Jobst, I don't really watch him, but I know Mutahar. Do you know how they, like, stumbled on this? Were they just, like, looking for shit to, like, to stir up shit? Or, like, what initiated all of this?
Going into all of this.
An event that was ran by Gerard, the Completionist, where money was raised by fans, by industry veterans, by big companies, small and large donations, and unfortunately, none of it seemed to actually make its way towards any of these charities, the benefactors that the Open Hand Foundation
I don't either.
On the website, or the few organizations that Gerard had explicitly mentioned in his various indie land streams. So to give you an idea of it, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you an update of exactly what's happened, some of the new findings, and a bit of a response to some of the criticism me and Carl had received in our initial videos that dropped about a week ago. So to give you an idea, I'm going to flashbang you with a few quotes from individuals that were a little bit angry, a little wilded out that me and Carl looked into this in the first place. One of them is from Pro Jared.
Yeah.
You might recognize Pro Jared from his own controversy several years ago, but Jared decided to butt into this and provide his logical, sage advice.
I think that's a little bit disingenuous. If he's going to bring that up, he should also bring up that he was completely exonerated from any of that. Sorry. Like, I like Mutahar and I agree with a lot of his stuff, but he's very selective on what he says and when he says it. And I think it's pretty fucking weird. He kind of like annoyed the fuck out of me because I was there on that real RTU streams when him and Boogie got in there, and Boogie like offered to give him all of his financial stuff, and he's like, I don't want it. I'm not your tax person. But it's like, and Boogie was like, well, I don't know where any of this shit is. My wife did it. I have no idea about anything. And Boogie's a terrible person, don't get me wrong, but him offering that, then Mutahar turning it down, that's like the dumbest fucking shit ever. Mutahar just wanted to shit on Boogie, and I get it. Whatever. It's the internet. But like, he offered, like, he was asking Boogie. He clearly knows Boogie didn't know anything about his finances because he's a dumb piece of shit. And then when Boogie, he knows that, and Boogie was like, well, here, you can go and look through everything. I have nothing to hide. I'll give it all to you. He's like, no, I'm not your tax advisor. Like, he is being willfully ignorant and pushing away a primary source, and wants Boogie, who would be like a secondary source, a filter of which the primary source would go through. He wants Boogie to answer that, and Boogie's like, here's the primary source, and he's like, no, fuck that. I'm not your tax attorney or whatever. That shit really rubbed me the wrong way. Really did. And again, like I said, I like Mutahar's videos and stuff, but that shit, like, that, I don't know, that pushed my buttons a little bit.
Pro Jared says, this is horseshit. They're both making a lot of assumptions and accusations without being able to actually prove anything.
Well, they did prove it.
The problem with that, Pro Jared, is we looked at publicly filed
Yeah,
statements and
they got his
documents from the
taxes. I agree with
Revenue
that.
Service of the United States.
I agree with that.
Also, we had Gerard on a call. But see, Pro Jared wouldn't know that because he never watched the videos.
Sure.
In the statement, he says, almost like
that's his character from Sea of Stars. By the way, excellent game if you like RPGs. Highly recommend it. I'd give it like it's a very good game. Very, very good.
Pro Jared wouldn't know that because he never watched the videos. In the statement, he says, almost like they're presenting the worst and trying to get views off of it. Dog, I am a larger channel than the Completionist. If anything, I'm fine getting views no matter what I upload. They didn't bother trying to reach out to Gerard about it. No due diligence. If Pro Jared stopped playing RPGs and watched my video for at least 10 minutes, he would realize that yes, I am in fact talking to Gerard the Completionist. One of the most important parts about this story was...
He's a little snippy there. Saying like, if you start playing RPGs, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, I know he's shitting on him because he plays games and stuff like that. I think that was not needed.
The call we had with the Completionist and getting Gerard's side of this story. Now here I want to answer two questions. Question number one, why did we look into this in the first place?
Hey, that's what I want to know.
People that asked in my mentions on the YouTube comments for that video and generally all over Reddit as to why me and Carl even looked into this charity in the first place. To give you the most the baseline answer here, Carl was tipped off about it. Carl looped me into the situation, and that's why we looked in.
How?
On my channel, you can email me, you can hit me up on Twitter DMs, and give me a tip-off for any weird, shady shenanigan you find in YouTube. Normally, I look through almost all of them, and most of them aren't really worth looking into.
You got a tip, that's how. Okay. That literally tells me nothing. That's what we call kicking the can down the road. It explains nothing, but okay, well, how did that person get wind of it? Whatever.
Because it's usually just
we'll never know.
Fan.
We'll never know.
When Carl looped me in about the Completionist, a YouTuber that I respected, we looked into the IRS filings, and the reason we covered this video is once we found these massive discrepancies, it was no longer a matter of let's make this video for, again, content. It's make this video out of a sake of ethical concern. So again, that's the very simple answer to that first question.
Oh.
The other question that was basically being asked around is, did you catch Gerard off the call? How did you even organize this call to begin with? And for our record's sake, I want to show you guys that we did our best diligence in this. Now, once Carl had sent his letter out to Open Hand Foundation, with his first and last name, Clearly, the red alerts were sent up all over the Open Hand Foundation, the Completionist, and Gerard's family. They knew that Carl was looking into it. Now, on November 10th, 2023, I had hit up Gerard and asked him, hey man, this is over Twitter DMs, I was wondering if you'd be free for a call today. We got tipped off about a discrepancy with your guys' charity, Open Hand Foundation. Just wanted to run some of the public documents with you and get your side of the story. Doing due diligence here. Now, Gerard responded to me a couple hours later and said, yeah, man, of course. I figured this was going to come up sooner rather than later, and that something huge was coming. It's been building the last couple of days, obviously, when Carl had sent his inquiry and they had their back and forth with Jacques. I'm in the middle of meetings.
That call did not go well.
So, would you give me a couple hours? So, obviously, I realized at this point, maybe this was never going to happen. Clearly, when I heard the words, they're in the middle of meetings, I thought that Gerard was probably talking to a lawyer. And lawyers will tell you to shut the fuck up no matter what.
That's what I was thinking.
At this moment in time, I kind of gave up and didn't really think that I was going to get any response. Of course, Gerard gave me his Discord information, and I said, okay, sweet, I sent you a request. Let me know when you're good to call. I need a couple hours here myself, too. I was stuck in the office myself, so, again, there was no catching anybody off guard. He knew what the call was about, and he had several hours to prepare with his team to give us a proper...
He shouldn't have done anything.
So obviously later that evening,
to be fair, he should have said, talk to my lawyer.
Listen to the call that we obviously played on our videos. So again, that answers the second question as well. I saw a few people talking about this and saying that maybe we caught him off guard and he didn't know anything. He had a few hours to prepare. He had a whole meeting with his team, and that's pretty much how it came out to. The happenings of that call played out the way that they did, of course, after preparation. Again, I didn't expect this call to happen because I thought lawyers would come in. Now, a bit of the other criticism that we had over here was when Dexerto, unfortunately, made a pretty damning headline. So, Dexerto, on the day of us releasing the video, said, YouTuber The Completionist is being called out for allegedly pocketing charity funds. Under this post from Dexerto was mine and Carl's videos. Now, nowhere in our videos did we ever say that the money was being pocketed. The money...
Define pocketing. If you take money from somebody, is that not pocketing, or do people think like pocketing is taking the money and then using it on your own stuff? So like, if I were to steal money from a person and not buy anything, would that not be pocketing it? It's interesting.
Money just existed in the bank accounts for the charity as according to the filings. And clearly, according to the filings, $0 was donated into these charities. So again, nothing that me and Carl said was, I guess, factually incorrect according to the statements. Dexerto made a pretty shitty headline. Now, in Dexerto's credit, they removed this, amended it, and even one of their heads contacted me and told me they fucked up. So again,
pocketing money, they define it as money for spending on your own personal things. I made a little pocket money for that, a small amount of money, especially an amount that's not enough. Interesting. Small amount of money that his parents give to their children. Yeah, okay. Nobody seems to agree.
Some level of respect where respect is due. But again, this tainted the well pretty bad. So again, other creator says, I didn't watch the full videos of accusations, but like, why is this stuff even public? Because the tax filings are public, you idiot. Like, they'd even try talking to him first. Again, why even throw your fucking hat into the ring if you haven't watched the videos? If you watched 10 minutes, not even the whole video, you would realize that, yes, I did my due diligence. Me and Carl did. So again, another creator says, wild drama. Didn't expect to get involved in one. This isn't drama. One other creator says, this is unethical, immoral, and potentially illegal activity. That's not drama.
That's factually incorrect. It's absolutely drama. Drama can be many things.
See, this is an adult responding. So again, here's another genius. It looks like a couple of YouTubers looking to gain some sort of fame. Bro, my channel is magnitudes larger. What fame am I looking for? Again, this isn't a dick measuring contest. It's just simply destroying your fallacy. There have been several times when charitable money was donated to the wrong organization, and they did move it to something else. I trust Gerard. Again, this wouldn't be a story had these statements been properly made. My personal favorite is incredibly depressing that over the last few years we've ping-ponged from no YouTuber has ever held accountable ever to knockoff Keemstar found some weird paperwork. Better cancel Gerard's entire bloodline. Yeah, I guess to this idiot that weird paperwork is an actual IRS filing. Again, please enter the real world. Please become a fucking adult. That's all I ask, okay? Simple as put out. Now I'm going to respond to some pretty accurate criticism. This was posted by an account known as The Little Wooly. Now this was shared around a lot, and this is actually the account of an individual that claims to work as an accountant for a nonprofit 501c3 organization for 7.5 years now, with I guess an additional 2 years in the accounting profession. I'm not here to, disprove or question anybody's credentials. I'm going to take his word for it, okay? It is what it is. So he says he looks at the situation. He says the Open Hand Foundation is a small, family-run foundation, and while having $600,000 in the bank is quite a bit of money, in reality, it's a tiny amount in the grand scheme of things. So while yes, they should have probably sent the money off to be used for research after years of collecting the money, it seems to me, based on Gerard was saying in the videos, that not only were they wanting to find the right organization to give the money to, that they wanted to make sure the money is actually used for dementia research. Which, yes, Gerard said they wanted to, I guess, evaluate the right, partner. And that's even what they wrote in their...
The issue with that is Gerard was saying that he was like, all your proceeds go to this and go to that, and etc. If he had never said that, then this would be like valid. But he was saying that the money is going to these specific organizations, even as recently as like last year, or even maybe earlier this year. That's not good.
Statement. They wanted to make sure their money was actually sent to the right place. Had this been proper public knowledge on the IndieLand website, the Open Hand Foundation website,
I agree with
those
that.
streams, this wouldn't even be a video. Had people just known their money was being stockpiled rather than, being told that, yes, we're raising money for dementia research and we're working with so and so. So again, the response here is, this is where I have a few issues with Mudahar's video. Why not just donate it? Organizations ask for as little as $35. Yes, I said that. So this person enlightens, and this is actually good news, good information. For a general unrestricted donation, from the sounds of it, Open Hand would really like the money to be focused on a specific purpose. Or as we would say, they want their donation to be restricted. Now for a smaller nonprofit, like where I work, we take in a lot of small amounts to be used for restricted causes, such as use in a specific program to buy certain items. Larger national or multinational organizations like the Alzheimer's Association are too big to track those tiny donations. As Gerard says, the money would go to waste. And if you...
I actually believe that we should be able to do that for like taxes and stuff that we pay for. Like, I should be able to like submit my taxes and mark off like where I want my money to go to, like to education, to infrastructure, maybe not to the military, and maybe to, those types of things. I 100% believe that that should happen, but,
you want your money to not just go into the hands of a CEO or other administrative costs, you want to see some tracking of your money going to work for the desired cause. So he also says you can't pin the money still being there on Gerard. He is only one vote in a foundation with other members of his family.
That's interesting too.
But we'll get to this in a little bit. So yes, it's true. I learned about unrestricted and restricted donations. Now, according to Investopedia, restricted donations, when a donor determines, typically fund designation is specified in writing in what is termed the gift instrument. Foundations that provide restricted funds often describe how they want their money allocated when they distribute the award. Nonprofit organizations can avoid confusion about how they intend to spend the donor's fund by offering a choice of designation. A cancer research nonprofit, for instance, could give donors a choice to allocate their funds to any one of breast, skin, or brain
that's
cancer
good.
clinical
That's cool.
trials.
I like that.
So again, while this could very much be true, let's go further into this actual breakdown. Why wouldn't they just donate, XXX instead of just 35? Come on, Mudahar! Can't you think of any organization, nonprofit and or for-profit, that would refuse to make your money their money? They'll gladly take your $35 and use it how they see fit, which may be to add it to the CEO's salary.
I don't know if that's
fine, right? Like, obviously, I get it. They want to build a large enough money where they can restrict it and make sure that a CEO doesn't get it. But again, this should have been relayed. So again, he also comes up and tells us about the IRS filings where he discusses that the signatures, Carl actually focused how some filings didn't have signatures. And I would have to imagine, personally, my involvement with the IRS, the CRA, and all these organizations, electronic signatures sometimes don't show up in public filings. I don't know if it's a privacy complaint or something of that nature.
Why is he dealing with the IRS if he lives in Canada? You live in Canada, don't you? Do you deal with the IRS in America? Like, why? And he doesn't have dual citizenship, I'm like 99% certain. Why? Huh. I don't, I'm too stupid to know about any of that. So I'm not like trying to shit on anybody. Like, I legitimately don't know why he said whenever he deals with the IRS. Why would that be? Yeah, but he specifically said, like, whenever I deal with the IRS. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's poor choice of words.
Sometimes don't show up in public filings. I don't know if it's a privacy complaint or something of that nature, but that's maybe the only logical response I can think about it. If you don't have a signature, I think that's like an immediate audit, okay? But again, I'm not a CPA. So again, please make sure to talk to a CPA. This is just what I've heard relayed from accountants that I've spoken to. The filings for Open Hand are very bare bones, but you should blame that on the CPA firm that made them. They could have easily broken the expenses down to specifics, but because of how small Open Hands is and how little they bring in on a yearly basis, there's probably no regulation saying that the firm had to get specific. If the government wanted to look into this, I'm sure all the paperwork for things like lawyer fees, accounting fees, filing fees, insurance, costs, etc. are there, and the CPA firm has probably seen all of them. So again, yeah, he says the drama seems a bit overblown. What Little Wooly fails to exactly go into it is how Gerard claimed in our own interview that he had all this money, right, sitting in the account, and he knew about this since at least 2022. In the video, he said 2021, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Gerard, and I'm just going to let you listen and say that he mentioned 2022. So, irregardless, I'm going to show you a clip after you heard this call once again.
Irregardless isn't a word.
Doesn't really make it better.
I guess it is now.
I knew it was sitting there at a certain point, and that's what made me proactively go about it. Like,
do you know when that point was?
I was made aware in 2021 when the money hadn't moved yet, and that's what made me go, "That's not fucking cool." And that's when I got personally involved to move it. And
did anyone?
2021 last year, 2022.
Yeah. Did anyone tell you that the money was going somewhere before then? Were you being misled?
No. No one told me anything. I assumed that it was all going to a charity.
Right.
I assumed incorrectly.
So now that Gerard has said that he was notified about this since, like, I guess 2021, 2022, listen to this podcast that Gerard was on November 4th, 2023 this year. So this is the Friends Per Second podcast.
It's probably going to get bad.
This is up on SkillUp's channel. I want to also stress...
Let me make a prediction here. That he's going to say the proceeds are going to those charities that he mentioned. As a prediction, don't know, haven't watched it. Let's see.
For the record, none of these people have anything to do with this. They actually made a really good response to this situation in their most recent podcast episode, but I'm going to play this clip, and it's pretty damning. Listen to this.
Do our own version of that every year and kind of make it a cool celebration of games and raise money for, charity. And so he was like, I wish we had a charity that we could donate to. And I was like, oh, I run my own charity called the Open Hand Foundation, and all the money that we aggregate. I started it when I was a young boy with my dad in honor of my mom who had dementia. And so we just every year we try and raise as much money as possible, and then we go work with Alzheimer's Association of America.
No, you just fucked up. Oh, you fucked up.
Association for FTD. Well, my mom had FTD, so we've worked with big and small organizations across the board.
Oh God, he just fucked up really bad. He fucked up really bad there. Oh, I called it right. And I'm never right. I'm like wrong about everything. I was right about that. That's not good.
And he was like, it'd be really cool if we did a show all about raising money for people who are making huge headways in dementia research and prevention and all that stuff. And I said, yeah, I'd love to. We have the organization to do it. We just, need to come up with a theme. And so I'm
God damn. He's not digging his grave. He's like fucking operating a backhoe to God damn it. Oh, that's not good.
I literally am about to like donate all this money today and prior to that, earlier this week and the week before, and I've just been sitting here crippled trying to figure out.
Hold on. I have to go back. Wait, when was this exactly? This was this was 16 days ago. Oh no. This wasn't even this was like half a month ago. Shit. Okay.
Money for people who are making huge headways in dementia research and prevention and all too. We have the organization to do it. We just, need to come up with a theme. And so I literally am about to like donate all this money today and prior to that, earlier this week and the week before, and I've just been sitting here crippled trying to figure out the best way to handle this, because I felt like if I donated the money the minute you guys emailed me, it'd be a situation of, well, he's trying to hide it and he's admitting guilt by doing that. And I never felt that way, but I understand completely that you guys could easily argue that, and it would just make me look more like a scumbag. And
well,
I just wanted.
Well, there's the thing, right? Like, all right, let me turn this down. Does it make him look like a scumbag if he were to immediately have donated it when they called him out, or does it make him look like a scumbag even more for holding on to it? And I'm assuming we'll get to this, but has he donated it since then? And do we even know the money is actually still there? He says it is, but the tax forms, correct me if I may be wrong on this, but they show that like the money they put in, but like, do we know that it is actually still there beyond Gerard's word of saying it's still there? I don't know. Again, this is financial shit. I'm too stupid for this.
When you guys got the email and I said, please tell us about benefactors, that was genuine, because I haven't found a benefactor that I'm completely happy with, and I want to make sure that this money goes to a good cause.
That's like the big fucking crux right there. He hasn't found anyone to donate it to, despite listing the people he's working with to donate it to.
Honor of my mom, and I'm upset that the conversations I've had haven't gone the way that I wanted, and I'm willing at this point to just donate the money to whoever. I want it to go in the right spot.
Now again, I played that clip for all context, okay? I extended that to make sure that people could realize that in this he mentions specific charity names. Now remember, back to the definition of charity fraud that we talked about, it's pretty f***ed up when behind the scenes you're telling us that you're still evaluating charities, you're asking us which charities to work with, while conversely actually mentioning them by name publicly in live streams, less than 14 days old at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, this gets into some serious false statements. And again, I could imagine what the government of the United States or the state of California.
So, if you want my take on it, is that I don't know Gerard. I've talked to him a few times at conventions and stuff for a little while. He's a cool guy, and I've never heard anything bad or anything. But I think this is what I think happened. And I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But if I were to bet money on it, I'd say that, okay, so he and his family, members of his family, have their names on this foundation. He's probably not privy to the day-to-day of it. He's probably hired people to work it, to do that stuff. They were probably incompetent, or they told him what I'm gonna say is he probably got told this stuff. Like, oh yeah, you know, how's the charity going? Oh, it's going fine. Yeah, exactly. It's well, the thing is, right? So okay, so timeline, right? This is over the span of 9 years. Let's say, oh, you know, at the very beginning, him and his family, you know, get it all together and make this, what is it called? Something hands, helping hands, or whatever it's called. I don't know. So he gets it all done, him and his family, and like they're probably not day to day on it. In fact, it sounds to me like they're simply just the people that started it. So other people are running this that are, you know, getting paid by them, but they're the owners. And to be fair, if you're an owner of something, you're the one that bears responsibility on all this. I'm not saying that you aren't, but I'm saying this is what it seems like. And as all these years go by, he and his family, because it seems like his brother maybe even a little more hands-on with it. Again, I don't know. This is what I'm getting from this. They're probably like, oh, how's the charity gone? It's like, oh yeah, it's fine. We've raised 300,000, 400,000, 500, you know, as time goes by. And then 9 years later, he's probably saying all this. I'm thinking that it's probably like gross negligence, which is the best possible thing that could happen, I guess. And now, after 9 years has gone by, and he finds that out, let's say a year has gone by, 2022, it's nearly the end of 2023, even the span of 2 years, you have $650,000 that you thought was going out, and it's not, and you're like, oh fuck, what do I do? Like a deer caught in the headlights. And he probably doesn't know what the fuck to do or how to do anything with it, assuming the money is still all there. It should be incredibly high priority from him. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying that's the situation. It doesn't feel like there's like maliciousness to it, but he kind of destroyed himself when 14 days ago he said that. So I don't know what's going on with that, unless he's like, he got the information, didn't tell anyone, thought he could figure it out, and did not figure it out quickly enough, but still like kept up the facade, as it were, of like, oh, this is what we're doing. And then, you know, it comes out, and then we have the situation that we have, and he is not looking too well. That's what I get from it. I think it's gross incompetence, but without like malice towards this. He's not like pocketing and spending all this shit, but I do think, I mean, to be fair, he's lying. Like, that is just a red-handed, bold-faced lie. But I think that he's lying because he probably doesn't know what the fuck to do with it, like, at all. And I think that he also is like, he's not the owner of this thing. I believe it's him, his dad, and his brother. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's solely his thing. So in that case, again, this doesn't excuse the lying that he did earlier this month. Not good. That's not good. But I see a situation, and a lot of the time, whenever you see something, you know what to do. Like, oh, you do this, but you don't actually know what to do if you're in that situation, like walk a mile in my shoes kind of thing. Like, oh, bad shit happens to you and your friends are like, oh, fuck that, you know, do this, do this, do this. But it's like, okay, well, that's great. And I understand that, but you're not in this situation. So you're like, you're reacting in the only way that you know how to react, that you've grown up with and stuff. So if you're like, again, blinded by the headlights, yeah, it's fine to just armchair and be, oh, you need to do that and do that and do that. Whenever you're in some sort of incredibly stressful situation, you're probably going to fuck up and lie and stuff like that. It's called a, what do they call that? Oh yeah, they call that being a human being. And humans are terrible people. Sorry, they just are, especially when under stress. And I'm not giving him like an out. It's not an excuse, it's a reason. So, and it's not a great reason, but I think that it's definitely a reason. Agree, disagree, I don't know. That's how it comes off to me, anyway.
Again, this is very, very, very damning shit to witness. Yeah. And again, that call Gerard had with us probably was one of the dumbest decisions he could have made, because in that call, he confirmed with us that the money was in the account. Yep. And again, we took his word for it.
But the important thing is that all the money is still in the account. None of it's spent erroneously. It's all above board. Like it's not hiding in a Cayman account or anything like that.
Again, I am believing Gerard at his word at that time, and I'm looking.
He said at that time, oh, this is going to get real bad, isn't it? If that is no longer the case now, or if that was still the case now, he would not have clarified that at that time. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
At the tax filings, if they claim to have $655,000 in an account, then just donate it. The fact that these guys have not made a statement yet, and again, I get it. This is an issue of criminality. Obviously, lawyers are going to be vetting everything that you say. But I think when you tell me and Carl that you have the money sitting in the account, then you should at least show a bank statement. Show a bank statement as soon as you can that verifies the account is still, you know, filled with that cash.
I agree with that.
And then donate it, right? What's really fucked up in this situation is even if the account has that money, over the years, through inflation, it has lost its buying power. And because of that, that money has less of an effect than had it been donated in the years that it was raised.
That's actually a good point. I've never thought of that. I should have thought of that. That's a very, very good point. Huh. Yeah, that's not good.
That's the real problem with the situation. It's not even just that the money is sitting there. It's that as it continues to sit there,
it devalues. It's being devalued.
It's just losing its value. Again, the important question is...
Unless, is it collecting interest? And even that would be also a whole, I think, other different can of worms, because I know some holdings can collect interest, different amounts of interest. I think some of them just don't collect interest. We don't know about that, because if he's holding it and collecting interest on it, I could definitely see a situation where a person would say that they have $655,000 and that is how much people donated, but it's been sitting in there for what, 9-10 years, however long, and he's, you know, it gets bigger because of interest, and you're just kind of scooping that cream off the top there. Still is $655K, but you're you know, got a little interest side gig going on.
Can we even see if the money is still in the account? All we have is to go off of Gerard's words, which, unfortunately, because of his statements, he is not a truthful individual as far as my opinion is considered. Beyond that, according to their tax filings, yes, I'm going to look at them and say they probably have the money in the account. But
100%.
The tax filing is not a bank statement. So we don't even know yet, all right? And I think...
That's what I said. That's what I just said earlier, too. And another thing, I think possibly the worst thing to come out of this, I was actually talking to my mom or my girlfriend earlier or something. I don't remember. Anyway, I was talking to somebody, and the thing about it now is that a lot of people are super sketchy about donating to charities in the first place because they don't know where their money is going. This does not help that, and in fact hurts all charities. And that's one thing. And now I highly doubt anyone will ever actually donate to him ever again, just because of what this has happened. And he did it for his mom, and now because she died of dementia, and now nobody, he won't be able to I don't know, fulfill maybe one of his life's work to, you know, help cure dementia or slow it or whatever, preventative diseases or whatever they're doing. Nobody's ever going to donate to him again, and rightfully so, because of all this. And he, I don't know, I think it's shitty to say it, but like, let his mom down, like, after she said, like, that's a really fucked up thing for me to say, but is that not like true?
I think that's kind of safe to say. Right now, the question is the money there? If it's there, and show people that yes, the money is there, we're going to be doing an accurate accounting and just donate it to the parties that we claim to be donating to.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's really the best possible ending to this scenario.
Sure.
Look, like I said in my previous video, at best, this is severely gross negligence.
That's what I said.
Even then, that doesn't protect you criminally. And at worst, if the money isn't there, we are getting into a serious illegal situation.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish that the people who were complaining about this story would have actually seen this, right? Again, one of the responses was, again, to that Little Wooly post, this is where my mind is at. Considering Gerard is always having his ass out for communities, charities, and developers, where the others two, me and Carl, are just drama sensationalist YouTubers. Again, I'm sorry that your brain cells are so cooked that you think possible
fucking cooked
is just drama, when it's really not.
Well, no, it is drama. It's 100% drama. It's just not your incredibly narrow definition of drama.
This is a matter of ethics. This is a matter of people being defrauded, potentially.
Those are not mutually exclusive things, drama and ethics and defrauding and everything. Yeah. So
allegedly.
Just to clarify,
be rectified as soon as possible.
I agree with him.
Little Wooly said, yes, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit on some of the more common responses. They held the money for 10 years. Agree. Not a good look. Would have been better to publicly disclose that info. That's literally what me and Carl said. As I said 100%. In the replies, name-dropping orgs is a bit weird when the money hasn't exchanged hands. Although I hope my guess of large restricted donations is what is actually being planned. Again, this is just him being hopeful that these are large restricted donations. Yeah. And again, the original post is just my guess based on my professional experience and what I have seen or heard in these videos. I could be completely wrong, but I hope I'm onto something. Again, Little Wooly is also speculating in the situation. And yeah, I appreciate his actual response into the situation. I do wish that he also addressed those misleading statements. Now, even Gerard said he has a paper trail of all of his communication with these organizations, which I would love to see. I hope these get published in due time. Obviously, lawyers are going to have to check all of his statements before they ever go live. So at the behest of making this video longer than previous, I looked further into the Open Hand Foundation, and obviously
Open Hand, not Giving Hand.
There was another event that was running the situation. PBD West Convenience Cup Challenge, which is a golf challenge that, of course, these guys were running for quite a long time.
Hold on, let's do a little bit of nooping ourselves. Let me turn up my Spotify music a bit. There we go. I want to see, yeah, you know, it's fun to watch a video, but let's actually do a little bit of fair use, putting our own shit into it. Contact. Okay, hello, the Open Hand. Closed. Alright. I need to know, okay, our story. Let's see. Find a cure for frontotemporal dementia. Our mission to help. We create events experiences with our partner organizations powered by our dealers, That One Video Gamer, The Completionist, and others. I thought That One Video Gamer... Hey, what's going on, Diddley? I thought That One Video Gamer and The Completionist were the same thing. Maybe they aren't. Our story, Charles Cleo in support of his wife, right? That's his thing. So how do we know? Yeah, well, see, this is like the real sad part. Is all of this in memory of his mom, and this is not going to be used anymore from what has gone on. Is very sad. He fucked up real bad, almost as bad as I usually do. About what is it, FTD, frontotemporal dementia. Okay, so Alzheimer's. Yeah, okay, so it's not Alzheimer's, but something similar. Are there unfortunately there are not. So what who is like the actual like operator of this? And why can't I why is it so hard to find? So Charles and Karen create a beautiful family of 5 children. Does he? Is that? I don't know. That's a good, No, he... Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, he does have that. I thought he had... I mean, it's... I had dysplasia. That's like when you can't get words out. I guess it's like a symptom of it. Ooh. Ooh, that's a good... Or it's not good, but that's a astute... link there. Oh shit. Life expectancy from 7 to 13 years. Oh shit, yeah. So yeah, that's a great catch on that. I thought it was dysplasia, but that's the word thing. I guess that's, like I said, a symptom of that. Hey, what's going on? How come I can't figure out like who runs this thing? Like, oh yeah, our story, blah blah blah. Oh, that is just not good. Karen lost her battle. Convenience Cup challenge. Yeah, it doesn't tell me like who actually runs this. Like, who is the head person in charge? What are you up to, Caladris? We are currently experiencing the downfall of a once very well respected YouTuber. That's not good.
Now this entire like PBD West Convenience Cup challenge had its own set of sponsorships. So as a company, you could give them up to $10,000 to get your company name featured throughout this golf tournament. There are photos from their actual golf tournament which showcases that some brands like Monster Energies, Rise Coca-Cola Bottling, Keurig Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, Cormark.
Keurig and Dr. Pepper are the same company now? Is that right? My sister uses Keurig all the time. She got my parents hooked on them too. I didn't know that.
A lot of these big brands are showing up in this situation. And again, even their own brand, also PBD West, shows up as well. So again, with these big brands like First Citizen Bank, I really hope they realize what they're getting into,
yeah, I saw that.
Money is going to. Because according to their own website right here, you write a check to the Open Hand Foundation. So alongside Indieland, it's this golf tournament that's also raising money as well. So there are a lot of parties that deserve actual answers that go beyond just gaming. The PBD West myself, this company, and in their success page, what I found really hilarious here was apparently they worked with Monster Energy, right? Now off the top, this doesn't seem like a massive deal, but if you look closely,
it is incredible.
Yeah, in 1998.
That's what I hear. Looks pretty okay.
Is it was actually introduced in April 18, 2002. And again, you can look at this by their trademark details. For instance, right here, you can see, according to Monster Energy, their first use in commerce date was literally 2002. I think it was April of 18th April of that year.
That's interesting.
So they could have waited 2 days to make it based, but generally the idea here.
That's a 420 weed joke for all of the people that don't get it. I'm sorry.
Again, it's hard to believe if they partnered with a company Literally before, I guess, they were ever really known to the public. Maybe they had a time machine. But the more I looked into it, the weirder this website got. But again,
that's interesting.
This is not...
They said that they partnered with Monster in '98, and then they were first in 2002. I don't know. Maybe it was like a predecessor of Monsters.
Necessarily pertinent to the charity. It's just one of these things that is stuck into my head.
A little odd.
Again,
as I
weird. Looked into it. So one weird
I'll agree with that.
We also found recently was on the Alzheimer's Association. They actually had a blog that was talking about the Completionist and how he shared the story of his mom and this foundation.
Yeah.
And its blog post has actually just been removed. All right. Literally, if you take the actual link off of Wayback Machine, put it into a web browser, you'll find out that, yeah, apparently even these charities are cutting their connections or ties publicly on their blogs, which doesn't really bode well. So I went
that's not good.
The situation
that's
and
not good.
The State of California's Department of Justice charity lookup. So again, you can do this for yourself. Going to this link, rct.doj.california.gov, verification web search.aspx, facility equals Y. Yes, I'm going to spell the whole thing out. So even the 11-year-olds who were criticizing our video initially can go down this breadcrumb trail with us, okay?
He says he's not about drama, but calling people 11-year-olds is clearly antagonistic. Come on, move it. You're about drama. Drama doesn't mean drama. Drama doesn't exclude really fucked up serious shit like he wants us to think it is. Let's be real here. I'm just gonna call him out as it is. Whenever somebody gets arrested in criminal offenses, that is drama. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think we can all agree that shit like that is drama.
Okay. Yes, I am going to be sassy as now in this situation, you can type...
Okay, well, at least he owns it.
Open Hand Foundation.
At least he owns it.
3 versions of Open Hand. We're going to go to the one that's currently registered. So opening that one up, it'll give you details of this organization. And it'll also give you their various documents as well. Inside their documents, I looked through the founding papers, and in the founding papers, it was actually pretty noticeable where we found out in page 12, where it actually talks about, you know, who's in the leadership. So for instance,
this is what I wanted to know.
The director,
right?
The only one to get, I guess, $1,000 in compensation, which, again, isn't that much. I assume that's for a formality's sake. So inside here it says Magdalene Ibrahim plans to marry Charles Khalil. So I assume Magdalene is the new wife of Charles, obviously, as the statement has written.
This is interesting.
You can see that Gerard, Khalil, Magdalene, Jacques, Layla, Charles are listed as basically the directors of this operation. So in contrast to the original...
Hold on. I'm sure he's going to get to it, but I just saw it. So these are all the people that are doing whatever they're doing, right? Gerard, clearly it says provide marketing and promotion, evaluate charities to donate to, considering fundraising activities. Okay, so, but all these other people, so he has no idea about any of the inner workings of it. Sure, he's supposed to evaluate charities. I think everybody has that evaluate charities thing, right? So that's pretty much not specific to Gerard. So Charles's manager day to day seems that he and this Magdalene are the 2 primary people, right? So estimated hours worked annually. So this is how much hours they work. She worked 200. That's 120. Gerard is 40. 40 hours worked is like 1 business week. She is a treasurer, management and administration. She should be the one to face the brunt of all of this, is what it seems. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're the treasurer, you're the one dealing with the money and management, and then his dad is the manager of day-to-day operations, so he should know money coming in, money going out, that kind of thing. Yeah. Investor, business owner for 44 years. Okay, I get it. Gerard is on here, but these people deserve, in my opinion, far more scrutiny than Gerard. But let's see what Muda has to say.
IRS documents, the California versions, showcase they actually do work hours. So Gerard works 40 hours on this. And here, Gerard is providing marketing and promotion, which obviously he's doing through Indieland. And he's also evaluating charities to donate to and consider fundraising activities. Right. So according to this filing, Gerard is taking an active approach in looking for charities as well too. And being a director, he obviously has to know what's going on in this organization. See,
I don't know about that. That's not part of his duties. I don't know about that. I know a lot of people that are like silent owners, silent partners, stuff like that. Like, to say that he's a director, I'm gonna push back a little bit on that, because you have silent partners, and if you're a director or whatever, it's like, you're a teacher, teach us biology class. Like, I have no idea about that. I'm a physicist. Well, I'll teach it anyway. But that's okay. We're all teachers, but we all don't do the same thing. Everyone has their specific thing they do. I don't know. Could be wrong. Probably am wrong, but I'm gonna push back a little bit on that.
He obviously has to know what's going on in this organization. See, he was told that the money was still sitting in the account, but that's me being very charitable. Again, I run businesses too, and being the director of my businesses, I know pretty much generally what's going on in all of them. I have to. Legally, I need to. But the point I'm trying to make,
if the treasurer told him the stuff because she's the fucking treasurer, I don't know. I really don't know about that.
Is being the director of an organization, a charity that is built on your dead mother's name, you should have
it's very
at
fucked
least
up.
a rough idea of what's going on. You can't just throw money into it and just pretend that it's gone.
Yeah, and whose responsibility is that? All right, the treasurer's in the day-to-day operations person. I'm sorry, the more I think about it, I gotta push back on that. I have to push back on that. Certain people are designated certain jobs, and the jobs that they do, they relay that information to other people. So this part of the video kind of, I think, relieves some of the stress off of Gerard. Exactly. I think this takes some of the onus off of Gerard. I was under the impression that it was Gerard and his dad. That's all. And maybe his brother. But no, it's all of them. He works 40 hours a year annually. And they work, 200, 150? His dad's manager day to day. His, I guess, stepmom, or that's how that works, right? Anyway, she's doing 200 hours. Treasurer, I want to see if he mentions it. If he doesn't mention it, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to push back a little bit on that.
Take your sibling's word for it, okay? You should probably be looking into it.
No, that's 100% false. That is 100 goddamn % false.
That is built on your dead mother's name.
Yeah.
You should have at least a rough idea of what's going on. You can't just throw money into it and just pretend that it's gone. Take your sibling's word for it, okay?
No, yes you can, and that's why that's why people have specific jobs that they do, and then they come back and tell you you can't do everything. You can't be the accountant, you can't be the manager, you can't. No, everyone has a specific thing that they do. Not everyone can do everything all the time. That's why shit is divided up into particular jobs to give to people, and then they relay what they've done, right? Like, I think that's not just completely fucking insane of me to think of. Not everyone can do everything. It's just impossible. That's why there is specific jobs. Like, again, if I were to go and try, I could be an astronomer and this person's telling me to teach, I don't know, fucking underwater basket weaving. I don't know fucking bullshit about that. And they're going to tell me, oh, the person that knows how to teach underwater basket weaving is going to come over to me and be like, hey, yeah, we're doing good. And be like, okay, I'm going to do my shit. You do your shit and everything's good. Yeah.
You should probably be looking into it at least every year as you're filing your taxes. I get that.
It's not his duty, though, to do that.
Gerard is a busy guy. I'm a busy guy, too. But you all take time out of your day during tax season to check all of your, to dot your I's and cross your T's. So, of course, some people have more control over this, like Magdalene Ibrahim, who apparently has 200 average hours work in the company, which, again, annually, that's not much at all. But they're the treasurer, management, and administration.
Yeah.
So, again, this seems like the person that has the most control over this operation. And I guess by definition, Charles. But Gerard should have some say, especially given that he is the face of this operation, especially through
that is 150 fucking % false. That's like saying, okay, somebody has the face of an operation. That face is an advertiser. So you're a company, you hire to him. If you're a company and you hire an advertiser, with Mudahar's logic, that means that advertiser, since they're the face of the company, should know everything about the company, like everything, finances, what's bills paid down the hall, everything. No, I fucking completely disagree with that.
One thing that I also looked through with their California
completely disagree with that.
I want to mention is, while in their actual 2022 filings, they mention how their book value is $655,520.
Right.
Now, some people have said, could they have been skimming off interest? Again,
that's what I said.
This is in a cash
non-interest. Okay.
Which means that they don't have a savings account. They literally had no investments, no savings to offset the loss that they would get from inflation.
Sure.
Again, some charities do it, but this isn't really that much money for them to be thinking about investments, at least from my personal perspective. Now, in this statement, they said that the fair market value was $0. Dog, how can you have $655,000 in U.S. currency and then say the fair market value is zero? That makes no sense. Again, the way that this is...
I don't know what fair market value is, so I'm very stupid with that kind of like tax finance shit.
Filed, I feel like the accountant over here just did not give a shit. Now, one of the things that I wanted to make a point of this is, do you want justice to be delivered? So I'm going to teach you guys how to report this properly. Now, obviously, the IRS may or may not look into this. They probably might be, but being that they're a federal agency, maybe the money...
We're coming up to the end of this.
Any agency to look into this, because they're pretty much, obligated to. Check the state of California. Now, Gerard, the completionist, the Open Hand Foundation is hosted in the state of California, which, by the way, is the strictest fucking state in the union in regards to charities. So if you want something done, please go to the oag.california.gov/charities/complaints, fill out Form CT9, all right, print this out, write everything you need to, email it to the state of California, or click on the Contacts the Complaint program, enter your first, last name, your organization, and tell them exactly why you think this charity should be investigated. I think it's pretty obvious by now. And with enough reports, the state of California at least has to acknowledge and start actual proceedings into investigating this charity. Again, I just care about money being donated. That's it. And I think at the end of the day, if Gerard has this money, he should prove that he has the money and donate it to the charities that he's claimed. Look, I wanted to make this video to basically address a lot of the criticisms that we got, which I think I fairly did. I wanted to look further into this situation and basically discover just...
We got it. I understand now. I was with him all the way up until that end. Whenever he brought up the people that were on the board, I think he's very, very disingenuous and really not pointing out the duties of these other people. Every director has particular duties that they need to do. I think he's willfully providing misinformation on who should be really getting the blame, because sure, Gerard, fair enough, but the other two people, he glossed over that. He fucking glossed over that, even though this Magdalene person has 5 times more hours than him, and these other people, I think that part is incredibly disingenuous. Yeah, he lost me there 100%. Because every so he's like, oh yeah, Gerard, whatever, evaluate charities to donate to and consider fundraising activities. It just says evaluate. It says nothing about like picking charities or whatever. It's like, oh, evaluate means to look and observe. And it says consider fundraising activities. It doesn't even say do fundraising activities. I mean, this would be it, right? Provide marketing and promotion. But Mutahar, I think he's a little butthurt because of all the other people that are coming after him. He's a little bit snippy. He said it himself as a director, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Right. So he has responsibilities, but I mean, his responsibility should to know like what it is. You know, it's like, okay, well, if everyone has financial responsibilities, why have a treasurer? Like, wouldn't all of these people have treasurer under their name? Is that not right? I mean, I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm just, that's what's coming to me. Like this Kelly Khalil engage in fundraising. Okay, so she's just basically there to help. Gerard's duty is to provide marketing and promotion. Magdalene is the treasurer and management and administration. She's the one doing all the stuff. And I'm sure she's let's in a world, it's like, okay, well, Gerard isn't going to be peeking into the bank. That's the treasurer's job, is it not? Like, I'm not. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. You know, if I am wrong, I need to be corrected. But like, you know, it does. I imagine that, like, okay, however many times a year we come together, we meet, we sit at like a damn round table. It's like, all right, Magdalene, how's our money situation? And she's like, oh yeah, everything's great. That would be how the other people know of their finances, would it not? Like, is Gerard really gonna go check that? And Jacques here and Leela and like everyone's just gonna be checking everything all the time? That doesn't sound right to me. Especially, like, if everyone has the same duty, then why even have the duties? You know? Like, why divvy it up then if everyone is responsible for everything? And that I'm not at all, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm not trying to like appear that I'm some sort of like person that's knowledgeable about that, but just from like a logical reasoning point of view, you know. So it's like, okay, and then I assume, you know, they've hired these CPAs or whatever to do their tax returns or whatever, and you hire them because you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and then they're like, okay, they do it, probably give it back to this Magdalene. She's like, okay, that's fine, and then she relays the information to everybody else. Like, why would Gerard be going to filing these taxes? Again, none of these people, I would bet money, do not file any taxes. They give it to whatever CPA company that they have to file the taxes, and then they give them back, and then the information spread to all the other directors. Like, is there like some sort of flaw in my thinking there? If there is, please tell me, because I don't want to be wrong. It's just my method of thinking here. But regardless, let's say Gerard is all this. I still think it's incredibly facetious, disingenuous, whatever word that you want to use, that he glossed over all of these other people. He briefly mentioned, what, 10 seconds, Magdalene probably manages the treasure, and that was it. Despite the fact that she's 50 times more involved, or this Charles is excuse me, not 50, 5 times more involved, does 5 times the amount of work, you know, and Charles here does 3 times the amount of work. You know, I think it's it feels like he has some sort of vendetta against Gerard at this point, and it's probably because the people are like, oh, Gerard's a good guy, so he kind of feels on the defensive, and he's starting to get a little snippy, calling people like 11-year-olds and stuff. Yeah. So that's my take on it. I probably am wrong. If I am, let me know. But I was up following Mutahar until that point right there. That exact point. In no way also does that anyway exonerate Gerard from any of this shit. Yeah. Entire class about government. Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, from like a low layman's thing, that's what I got. Sure. And actually, like, going off of that, I've thought about this a lot. How fucked up is it that we have laws that govern every person on the planet, right? Everyone is subjected to laws. Well, mostly. Unless you're incredibly rich. But even then, you get my drift. How like fucked up is it that to live a day-to-day life, you're expected to know those laws? And to only really know those laws, you have to pay another person who has studied these laws to tell you if you're right or wrong, and have to defend you because the lay person is too fucking stupid to understand the laws, these basic laws that cover everyone on the planet, you know, obviously varying by country and country, but like we have to have special people, lawyers, to like interpret that and disseminate the information. And if you have less money, you get shittier information than if you have more money, and then you get a really good lawyer, and the information that they know is like better, but like the laws apply to everyone, but nobody knows what the fuck is going on because it's so goddamn complicated. Like, is that not the stupidest thing? I've been thinking about that for like maybe the past 2 or 3 months. I think it's absurd. Like, shouldn't laws be simple enough that every person can understand them fairly easily because they apply to every person? Like, right? Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it's really fucking weird. Oh god, man, I have fallen. Okay, enough of that bullshit. Fuck it, I don't care. The other D needs to be held accountable. Everyone does. I guess we'll. Yeah, that is a yeah. I've been saying, like, if you have something that applies to everyone and it's too convoluted for everyone to understand, then maybe your law should be easier to understand. Yeah, I bet. And you saying that, there's whole dissertations about it, kind of exactly proves my point. Like, exactly. Like, the fact that people are so knowledgeable, and there is a depth of that knowledge that you can dive into, just proves that it's incredibly complicated, but everyone is required to do that. It's like and it'd be like giving a 2-year-old a solid state physics test, like a graduate physics class I took. Well, it can be done. They don't know what the fuck to do, but it can be done. It's wild. It's so fucking wild. Like, oh, I think everyone can agree, like, let's not kill anyone. But then you get all the different degrees of murder, and I don't know. It's so fucking weird. Like, we could have like a 3-year conversation about all of it. Man, I have fallen down this Half-Life rabbit hole for like the lore and everything. Like, I really just want to go back right now and play Black Mesa, which, for the record, having beaten all of them, I like Black Mesa the best. The Half-Life 1 remake. I actually haven't played the original Half-Life 1. I could. You know what? I could. They ported Half-Life 1 into the Source engine. It was just like a fucking like copy paste kind of deal. So it has the amenities of like the different screen resolution sizes and stuff, but it's still like just very much Half-Life 1. So, oh yeah, do it please. It's like I am all like, I've been thinking nonstop about Half-Life. Like, I'm obsessed with it at this point. This channel right here, this Skirion guy. Like, oh god, it's so sad that like I'm really glad I found his channel. Timelines and lore, this is the kind of shit that I want to do with Arion. Like, exactly. But he had a like full timeline of Portal, or like all the Half-Lives and Portals and everything. It's like a 3-hour long video, and I fell asleep to it last night. I don't know. Okay, yeah, Demon on me Twitter. There it is. I got it, I think. And what is the Rory Gilmore thing? Archival foot. Oh shit. Okay, hold on. Is this it? Yeah, this was just from the second. Oh yeah, we're definitely watching this. 100%. I'm too invested, and I'm so fucking angry now because I'm in the group of people that want Half-Life 3 to come out. And I did watch like the end of Half-Life Alyx, and they're like, "Oh, you'll understand why there's not a Half-Life 3." No, you won't. Because it raises far more questions than it answers. So I'm a little angry about that. Long story, yeah. Well, I don't know. Those are interesting. Like, I ask people where they get their like usernames. Like me, I've been using Evanglare since like 1998, and funny enough, I got it off a guy playing I don't know if you're familiar, a very old game. I think it may still be going on, but Grail Online, Graal, which was like a Legend of Zelda MMO thing. It was really cool, like really fucking cool. Anyway, I saw some guy named Evanglare, and I just took it. I've literally used it on every website ever, even until this day. In fact, if you yelled Evanglare on the street and then you yelled my real name, I would probably answer to Evanglare first. And I understand how incredibly sad that is, but it's true. It's true. I identify more with that name, Evanglare. Oh, it's awful. Anyway, let's watch this. Not very long.
International panic and concern today as news of what is being called a minor nuclear accident spreads from the Black Mesa facility in New Mexico. The internationally renowned science complex staffs over...
Damn, man. That looks almost like exactly like the opening. Like, I'm not talking about just like, you know, it looks similar. This almost looks exactly like rock formations and everything, at least from what I remember.
1,500 employees
Is it?
from over 75 countries.
Oh, I know Rory Gilmore. She's a incredibly good-looking woman. I used to watch Gilmore. Well, kind of. Someone drew a shitty pic. Yeah, I saw the scary thing. You kind of adopted that. I didn't even change my name this Halloween. Usually go like Spooky Glare or something. I went Anon. Okay. I mean, Rory Gilmore, why not?
With little news from New Mexico, world leaders have requested information on the now rapidly developing situation.
The nature of this Black Mesa incident necessitates transparency from the United States government. The United Kingdom respectfully requests news from President Clinton as to the status of the dozens of British men and women employed at the facility and stands ready to assist in any way possible.
Actually, sorry, this is like a little bit factually incorrect. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna be that guy. And stupid. Clinton wouldn't have been the president because this happened somewhere in the 2000s. They don't really say when, but it's like May 16th. Like, again, it's pretty vague, but it's like sometime in the early 2000s. So Bush would have been president. I'm sorry, I'm just picking it apart, and that's stupid of me. Being pedantic, and I hate that.
Speaking on behalf of the Australian peoples, I too wish to extend an official inquiry.
President Bill Clinton has announced the deployment of 2,000 military personnel to the now 150-mile exclusion zone around the facility.
I think I get it why they chose Clinton, because the game did come out in like 1998. So I guess that would be it. Probably didn't like read super deep into the lore.
A resident of New Mexico currently within that radius, you should be seeking out government officials in your area for assistance in relocating.
Amidst this chaos, NASA has reported the unanticipated activation of an unknown satellite, apparently launched from the mainland United States in the last 24 hours.
I remember that part.
Prompted some to speculate a connection between the current events in New Mexico and this unknown rocket launch. The president is denying any link.
I want to make it very clear that the rocket launch currently under investigation by NASA is, to the best of our knowledge, unconnected to Black Mesa.
Many, however, are not pleased with the tight-lipped stance the White House has been
taking. This has got a little bit of like an analog horror feel.
President-elect Dick Cheney criticizing Clinton's attitude as laissez-faire in the face of a massive national security risk.
I got an idea.
To say that Clinton owed the American people the truth and a prompt report.
Yeah, I got an idea.
Black Mesa.
It's worrying that the Clinton administration is choosing to keep the American people in the dark regarding what could be the most significant threat to national security of the last decade.
Shit, Dick Cheney, he'll go and fucking annihilate everybody with this shotgun. Remember when he shotgunned some dude in the face while they were hunting?
However, the White House maintains that the primary focus of this incident should be on the well-being of those in the surrounding areas, not commenting on the state of the armed forces deployed to Black Mesa or its 1,500 employees. It's clear to many that this is just the beginning of what is speculated to be one of the most expensive recovery operations in U.S. history.
Oh, it's something much more than that.
NBC News, New Mexico.
That's really cool. That is so cool. I like that. I appreciate it. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna fucking save that shit. I love stuff like that. Save to, I don't know, interesting things on YouTube I found. Was he not? Oh, no, I actually get what you're saying now. Because they didn't know, right? VP-elect would be like a confirmation that they did win. Gotcha. Yeah, that's right. You are right. Black Mesa, man. I don't know why I fell down this rabbit hole, but this shit is fascinating. If not simply from being like a physicist or whatever. There was some other stuff that I wanted to watch that documentary. That's what I wanted to watch. Half-Life, like an hour long. Yeah, put out by Valve 3 days ago. I'm actually pretty curious about this now.
Just go. You just go over the mountains over here, and you're in high desert. You get past Ellensburg, and it's high desert.
I like those.
So I spent a lot of time
mesas
getting reference. Most of the reference came from Eastern Washington. I did a drive out to the Columbia Gorge and took a lot of photos, and also a lot of just reference imagery of just like, hey, this is what desert looks like, and big cliffs and stuff like that.
I watched a sorry, I have to pause and add stuff to it. Transformative or whatever, fair use. I watched a video on, it was a long time ago, on Oblivion. How like, because that game floored everyone whenever they showed the trailer, and they were talking about how they went to these like different kind of wooded areas and had like took pictures of bark samples and stuff for their rendering artists. It was wild. Like, you never even think about that stuff. You're like, oh, somebody's making a video game, they're all coders just working at it. Like, nah, dude, you got to go out in the wild and do shit like this. I think it's cool.
That drive was 2 days. It was 8 hours down, 8 hours back, and I'm not even
shit,
sure
I'd love to do that.
I did.
That
I
would
must
be
have
fun as
spent the
fuck.
night down there. So while it was definitely made for the Southwest, the local reference was out in the Columbia Gorge.
Good morning and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience.
God damn it, now I kind of want to go and display the original one, not the Black Mesa. I can't believe I slept on this for 20 fucking years. November 1998. I watched the Act Man. He had a thing about why is Half-Life so awesome. Apparently this was one of the first games to like not just throw you into it. Like, it actually had story. Like with Doom, Wolfenstein, whatever, they're like, all right, fuck it, go. And this was one of the first that was like, oh shit, we actually have story and we're not immediately shooting shit. Like, you know, like a narrative that they have. I think maybe Unreal 1 might have been slightly before this, but anyway. The OG development team. That's so cool.
My name is Mike Harrington.
Me too.
I wasn't really used to big companies. When I started at Microsoft, it wasn't that big. It was like 1,500 people, like a big high school. 9 years later, it was significantly bigger. I'm thinking, oh, this place is too big. And that was still like 1996. So they had a long ways to go. I told my managers like a year before, like, I'm leaving in a year and I'm going to start a game company. And
that's like kind of the same thing that happened to Atari. Like, they were just some fucking scrappy computer nerds. They said, I watched an interview, like they would smoke, pot in the office and stuff, and just like code is like super fucking relaxed and stuff. And then I guess they got bought out and they got real big and more corporate and stuff, and everyone that like made Atari like noped out. They're like, nah, this ain't for me.
And the first person I talked to was a good friend of mine, Michael Abrash. But at that time, he was trying to do something within Microsoft, and by the time it made sense, John Carmack had convinced him to go work at id. So how could he say no to that? And then I was having lunch with Gabe, and I said, Gabe, I'm leaving. I'm just going to leave.
There he is. There's the man.
He goes, Who's
God Emperor Gaben.
Like, all right, and that was it.
On the surface, we should have failed. And realistically, both Mike and I thought we would get about a year into it, realize we'd made horrible mistakes. And
that man has so much fucking money. It is unreal. I mean, fucking, he owns Steam. Jeez. Net worth of 3.9 billion. I actually thought it was more than that. God damn. He's like the god of computer gaming.
Go back to our friends at Microsoft and ask for our jobs back. But we did think that we knew a fair bit about software development, that there were expertise that goes into it. I think we also had some pretty clear ideas of how to design a company, right? So when we were building Half-Life, we were also designing Valve at the same time.
We had no plan except for...
That guy looked like Adam Levine. Levine
to id. And he said, oh, you're starting a game company, you have to use our engine. So Gabe and I flew down to Mesquite to meet id. We spent a good deal of time with John Romero, and he told us
id is what
you need to do to start a game company. You need to go out and hire some
Wolfenstein or Doom,
that kind of thing. And we kind of understood the engineering part. And then because we were Michael's friends, we walked away with the source code to Quake.
Quake! Oh shit, Quake! id, right? We have QuakeCon here in Dallas. I used to go every year. Fuck, I forgot all about that. That's like literally 10 minutes away from me. I'm so fucking dumb.
Contract yet. We had kind of an idea of what it could be, and they just gave us a CD, and we had kind of the crown jewels of id, and that, game on.
Damn, look at that.
I think most of us had no game development experience. We were either amateurs working in our homes at night for fun, or some people were from the software world, but they had never worked on a game. I think we had 3 or 4 people in the entire company who had actually shipped a game when we started.
Dude, that's like the dream. I'd love to do that.
What is Valve's first game? So we have to come up with an IP. So everything is done from scratch.
Gabe came into the office and he said, I read this story. I read this Stephen King story called The Mist. Stephen King.
Oh, that's a good... You ever seen that movie? If you haven't, it's very good. I think it's genuinely agreed that the movie, the ending of the movie is actually better than the ending of the book. Haven't read the book, but the ending of the movie is, well, it's a thing. I won't say anything else. But yeah, The Mist, holy shit.
And people in a grocery store, fog comes in, monsters in the fog, use your imagination. We didn't want to write that.
You've seen it?
That
okay.
wasn't really the point, but it was just the tension and
it's such a fucked up ending.
Well, it was interesting at first we had 2 games. Greg was working Prospero, and then Half-Life was originally called Quiver.
My job was then
what's going on?
Build a team and figure out another game for us to build. That'll be the second game Valve ships. What features should it have? How is it going to be different from a normal first-person shooter?
Right, that's exactly. They were saying like, oh, if we had made Half-Life 3, would have, like way back when, they're like, yeah, it would launch in 2022. And now we're in 2023 and everyone's like, what the fuck? We could have been playing Half-Life 3 now. What the fuck? Steam.
Every time the engine got
everyone, I am still alive. About as good as I can get.
Half-Life just started getting visually, more impressive and cooler, and eventually it just, because it was going to ship.
I'm on this Half-Life kick lately.
Just stole the resources from Prospero, and Prospero just faded away.
I had this character had a floating orb, and it wanted to have some, effects on it. It's kind of magical energy, something, and so
that's all I can give.
Worked with them on that and came up with the first version of the beam effect. They were using it. They were
trying to have some fun.
And then people on Half-Life are coming over and like, what is that? How did you do that? So very quickly that got
I would love
disaster sequence has
to be on a team like that
all over it, and we ended up using it for the
I mean, imagine they said they had what, like 3 people that had ever shipped a game, and everyone else is just like an amateur for fun. And then they made one of the most revolutionary first-person shooters to like ever grace the PC. That's wild. That is absolutely insane.
Oregons.
Like there are a bunch of things that we were doing that we thought would help us tackle the problem of what video games were. And what video games were a rapidly changing field where at the time 90% of video games failed to turn a profit. And a few percent
in 98
were very, very profitable, right? So it was a field that really valued talent.
You know, like I said, Gabe and I brought some people, and then
shit, I thought video games were like incredibly profitable in the 90s.
Level designers, so we found some.
Yeah. Well, it's like
industry experience.
It's like Notch, right? Well, I don't know his previous thing, but wasn't he just like fucking around with voxels or something, and he made Minecraft, and then, well, here we are.
Worked on Rise of the Triad first as a pixel artist, and then went with Duke Nukem. And
yeah, he got that beard and everything. He like ascended to godhood.
Just out of the blue, and I pick it up, and it's this recruiter.
Lord Gaben.
He hooked me up with Gabe, and they flew me up here. It's a big surprise.
But then we started looking. You know, the nice thing that we had is we had a whole bunch of people in the world who had been working on mods, and so we could start looking at those folks, and that's where we hired a lot of our designers. Steve and
I always wanted to make like a documentary. Here, let me turn on some stuff. Sorry, I do have to pause it, by the way. I want to add to it, you know, if you want to go and watch the video, I can give you the link. But I always like, if you've ever done anything in programming, you know, you learn like the hello world, the ifs, the all of that stuff, like classes, objects, whatever kind of language you're learning. But then like you see like these crazy video games like Sonic the Hedgehog or Halo or whatever, you know, even back in the 90s. There's such a big gap of, okay, I know the fundamentals of programming. How the fuck do I make Halo? Right? Like it's such a big gap. It's like, okay, I know 2 + 2. Let's like look at the Schrodinger wave equation. You're like, what the fuck? How did we get from here to there? Like, you never see that. It's like, okay, I know a little bit about stuff, and then you see people that are like, oh, here's the finished product. I have never seen like an actual documentary of like going from the very basics all the way up until you get like a, not necessarily even like a AAA video game, but it's like a very polished video game. Like that middle portion might as well just be magic. You could be like, okay, we start here, magic, final game. I'd love to document like the day-to-day of like what actually happens, what goes into making a game, like a good one.
Guthrie, Steve Bond, John Guthrie were my favorite hires.
Right, they make, yeah, exactly.
Other than Doug,
it's an iterative thing, right? I fiddle around with Godot, but even then, hey, what's going on, Goosey Grips? Watching a Half-Life documentary. Like, but even then, like with the engine, right? It's still like how, like navigating the engine, you know, people making stuff in Blender and importing it, you know, they have to write like mini map code, you know, and obviously like programming, I think it's not even a secret, like everyone fucking steals from everyone else in programming. They're like, okay, I need to rip this code out and like apply it to my thing. I just think it's pretty crazy. Older games on this. Yeah, like that. I've fucked around with like chiptune stuff, and it's one thing to like make music, but back then you had to be a music creator and like a coder, so you had to like code in your music, you know, the step functions and stuff of it. It's wild to me.
Gabe sent them an email and they're like, who is this scammer? You know, never heard of these guys. Just kids, like barely.
They look like me in high school.
Just barely. Like barely.
They look like me in high school.
And they show up and they're just the most creative, brilliant, clever. Fucking clever. Steve had the magic ability to make stuff fun.
The fact that those guys have been hired to go work on some company, I think that was
honestly
start for a lot of people that something cool was going to happen because those guys were.
Do you actually? I think I asked this the other night. Do you actually think we will ever get Half-Life 3?
Stories work,
like legitimately,
and all this stuff, and he had all sorts of great ideas, and he also would just, bring good ideas out of everybody else as well.
Like the person who wrote more code on Half-Life.
There is a
chemistry major who decided to be an IP lawyer in Atlanta, right? And
That's
he ended
cool.
up writing more code than anybody else. The creature designer for most of the AI for the creatures in the game was a manager at a Waffle House. It's not like there are a bunch of people that you could say, oh, this person, has a PhD in video game design. It was that combination of both finding...
Dude, this shit is so fucking cool. It's so inspirational. I want to boot up Godot right now. I have a really cool idea. Do you just legitimately? I don't know. So the thing is about that, and I said it the other day whenever I beat Half-Life 2 episode 2 at the end, because they start bringing in Aperture Labs and that Borealis thing that apparently that ship, I don't know, something was special about that. And since I had never played the series before, I kind of fucking shit myself whenever, because I've played Portal and they mentioned Black Mesa, but never in Half-Life 2 did they mention Aperture Labs until that last episode 2. So it's canonical confirmation from both ends. And me, I for my graduate degree, I did modeling of exoplanets. I did a bunch of exoplanet research, and we used something called the Wilson Divinity Code, and that was based on Fortran. Very, very old code. But for me now, if I'm just fucking around, I tend to use Ruby if at all possible. But I know a lot of people don't like Ruby. I do. I think it's fucking amazing. But it's Ruby and Python. Bunch of science shit is done in Python, like MATLAB and stuff like that. So I know a little bit about that. I know how to make shit work, I just don't know the structure of game design, because I've always done scientific shit.
Those people when it wasn't
Reese
easy to find them at that stage.
You're right.
And then also convincing them
that was
to work than anybody else.
Let me turn that up a little bit. All right. That was in the era, Quiver. That was in the era of the Chuck Norris stuff, right? Chuck Norris is counted to infinity twice. That was around the same time that got big. The Half-Life 3, I think, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Quake Engine. Man, that Source engine is still so fucking good, even to this day. I was blown away by Black Mesa.
One of the things that I definitely learned was how to hire engineers. And we needed some engineers.
For us anyway, we had licensed ID's engine. We're using the Quake engine. And one of the things me and some of the other engineers, probably Ken, were talking about was if it
I remember Icon has cheeseburger.
The save system.
I don't know meme-based stuff.
Join our levels together in a really seamless way. So you get to the end of a level, save stuff, and then load some of it on the next level, and have it just feel like the world's all connected.
And so we had every once in a while, a hallway or the train would get to a point and you would have a little stop for the level to transition. And so he wrote that code.
Wow. I never even thought about that. So what they're telling me is that they were the first people to before then, Doom and Quake and all of that. It was okay, here's the level. You start, finish, go away, load the other level, like load the next level. What they're telling me that like they just made a gigantic level and they just had to load what they needed to. I didn't even realize that.
Leveraged on top of just the save load code.
All right, man. Thanks, Froggy.
We got most of the transitions were.
It's always super dope having people to chat with.
When we went from.
Oh yeah, Juicy's still here.
Like, hey, we don't have to have all our textures fit in a certain.
Appreciate you stopping by, as always.
That was a huge liberation.
The two tech investments we made for Half-Life was to get to 16-bit color,
65,000 colors,
skeletal animation for all the monsters.
But at the time, it was completely revolutionary. Your Quake characters were, it's like a text file of vertex positions over time.
I wanted so much more.
Stream every night.
I wanted
pretty much almost every night.
Have the freedom to put in.
Take it easy, man.
100, 200, 500 frame of animation, if not more. And then you can do all sorts of other things because you have a skeleton, so it's like, oh, I can hook on a gun to a character. I can start to make changes of characters and replay the same animation or reuse.
I've tried to like fiddle around with like animation and skeletal stuff. It's fascinating to me, but I don't know. I don't have like the brain power to do that. I haven't tried. I think they have something called Source Forge Machine where you can do stuff like that in the Source engine, I believe. I think. I've never tried it. That's my guess, being called the Source Forge Machine. But yeah, I got some kind of animation program. It's like I have no fucking idea what I'm doing.
Most of the same model, so we can swap out heads, we can swap out this, we can swap out whatever.
Like all the technology that went into
Counter-Strike began as a Half-Life mod, for sure.
It was not available one generation before. So licensing the Quake engine, which was, very mature and had level designers who'd grown up just goofing around with it.
I wasn't heavily into scripting since back into Doom. Like my old Doom levels have a lot of weird, odd events in them. I think I asked Ken, is it possible that I could, have access to the character's animation, like a trigger? Like what I mentioned, I could make the guys go into an animation, I could make them run, and then I would configure everything. It was all hack. This is total hacky stuff. And
it's so cool.
That is mostly what I built.
Love that shit.
Things like characters reacting and jumping out are made to look like, or I'd use a push brush to throw a head crab out to make it look like it launched at something.
Or if a loud sound happened,
they would respond,
would cower.
Games Dictate was...
So they didn't have that then? When did Deus Ex come out? That was probably in 99, right? I think. Damn, I'd like to replay through that too. Like the OG. That game was really fun. I played it last year.
Walked forward, something needs to happen like every 3 to 5 seconds. The player stands still, the
didn't have to be much.
Universe can be quiet. But if they move forward, if they're active, the universe needs to play back something, needs to do something. Even if
like
it is
triggering planes.
A scripted sequence
or even just an interesting sign
or a sound or some vignette or something. So I came up with this interaction method where you could do little AIs.
Somebody
talk and interact.
Yeah, somebody was like, dude, you need to download CS2. I've played a little bit of Counter-Strike. But I got like, it was never like a huge thing. It was fun. I like playing it for sure. But now since I've gone through all these Half-Life games and Portal, I just beat Portal 2 last night again for the first time since it launched. Great game, nearly like a flawless game. Now I'm like, God damn it. I kind of want to download Counter-Strike 2. And I need to play through Left 4 Dead 2, which I've never really touched.
Interact with you a little bit, and then we wanted to do something.
I highly recommend it. Actually, I don't know if you know this, but I did play through it all. There's a community that made Black Mesa, which it's effectively a Half-Life 1 remake. They finally finished it after like 15 fucking years, or maybe less than that. I don't know. And Valve sanctioned it as an actual Valve produced game, even though it was a community. Highly recommended. I think I like that game the best out of any of them. out of anything I played. Black Mesa was fucking awesome. In 64, I've not heard of that.
And that was scripted sequences where you could tell a character, you need to run here and then jump into this animation. And then have a bunch of you all synchronized.
Oh, look at the shadows.
Somebody flying through the air, they're smashing something, or they're doing something like that.
Yeah, and then test it and figure out, like, oh, this is real easy to break. That was the roughest thing about
speedrunners will break it. I wonder what the speed run
jumping on a scientist or something.
Like,
and it's like
world record is
totally
for
fine 90% of the time, but some people just sprint right at the scientist, and sometimes we have to put them behind glass. And
sometimes getting the level designers making the player want to do the thing that gives them the most fun is a very subtle art.
The tentacle sequence is probably the one I remember the most.
Dude, fuck that part of the game.
I think they melded together.
Because you had your trigger.
That part,
and we wanted it to be
difficult
triggered.
for me.
So by the time you start to see it, you see the scientist flying through the air and hitting the wall. Then you could.
I'll look for it. That sounds interesting.
Just being carried away. The tentacle itself is separate. It's on its own, and you bring the two together, mesh them together, and boom.
It felt so seamless though, and that for me was like moments like that, and that might have been the first one. Is when you start to see the scripted events and play start to blend a little bit more than just ambience.
And it's not just like people running at you, like demons running at you. Look, that. There's some really fucked up shit in this game too.
The lab scenes where scientists would walk from one area to another and just look at a monitor, and it gave them a little bit of life. A ton of the work that went into that area was because we knew it was going to be the beginning of the game, and we really needed to make it a vibrant and interesting, fun place to be and explore.
That's probably like the most important part of gaming is like that first level, like Halo's first level. Everyone remembers it.
No, I'm going to put that right in front of you. And I'm like, oh God, how am I supposed to make this work? It's not supposed to do it.
Get away from there, Freeman. I'm expecting an important message.
The run speed for the player was so insane.
Yeah.
It was like, what, 25 miles an hour or something?
It was sprinting. It was,
You could get so far, so fast. And so you'd either have to make the scripted sequence like so quick that you could barely see what's happening. Most people weren't looking in the right place anyways.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to like get their attention with like
this shit is so fascinating to me.
Lighting or something.
I love it. I need more documentaries like this.
See what was happening. But when we play tested, and if like a scientist was like being pulled into a vent or something, like people wouldn't just stop and like, oh. Sometimes they would be like, oh wow, look at that. They just run straight ahead and just.
I love like taking in the environment.
Hard when you think back to it to recognize that those kind of interactive moments were so new. Like people just hadn't seen them.
It was worth it because
it's taken for granted now.
Doing that. No other games had that interactivity. No other games had that spectacle playing out in front of you, and it just added that whole feel of Half-Life.
Like before Half-Life, it was like, okay, if you had the instruction manual, like, oh, okay, you're here in hell, go kill everything. That's basically the whole story. This really, really like was a game changer, and I think nobody today, at least like younger kids, they probably wouldn't appreciate it, but it still holds up today. It's so good.
Gabe had started to develop this theory around interactivity, and the environment needed to let you do what you wanted and then react to it. So if you did something, if you shot your gun, there needed to be a bullet hole in the wall. If you did a thing, people needed, other characters needed to react. The world is acknowledging you.
What was the first shooter game that they came out with that
and that's this huge part of
that you could like look up and down and have like verticality. Because I know like Doom 1 and 2 and
Quake, and somebody say that's not realistic, and you're like, okay.
It was just like right in front of you.
Like
you couldn't look up or down. There was no mouse. Explain to me why that's
interesting. Because in the real world, I have to write up lists of stuff I have to go to the grocery store to buy, and I've never thought to myself that realism is fun. I go play games to have fun, and so we had to come up with some notion of what fun was. We knew it was an ad hoc definition, and it was the degrees to which the game recognizes and responded to the player's choices and actions, right? You know, in behavioral science, we would say we were explicitly talking about what were reinforcers and what the reinforcement schedules were, right? At that point in time, that was a useful way of making design decisions. The point I would make is, if I go up to a wall and shoot it, to me, it feels like the wall is ignoring me. I'm getting a narcissistic injury when the world is ignoring me. So does this, like, to me, I was trying to convey to the user a sense of, yes, you were making choices, yes, you were progressing, which meant the game had to acknowledge that back to you. If you shoot at a wall, there have to be decals. If you kill a bunch of Marines, the Marines have to run away from you, right? You have to have this sense of the game acknowledging and responding to the choices and actions and progressions that you've made.
See, that is really interesting because they posted, in fact, I can find it real quick because it ties in directly with what he's talking about. It was here. God damn it. It's actually very, very relevant. Oh, here it is. So somebody was saying on here, it's like, before you doubt the legitimacy of GTA 6, this video serves as proof that Rockstar Games is the king of realism in modern gaming. No other studio ever thought of struggling for oxygen detail into any of their games. GTA 6 has been in development for 10 years. With the computing power of next-gen hardware, I believe Rockstar will make the most generational leap in gaming we will ever witness. And, like, the thing is, that's fine. Age of Piracy. Oh yeah, absolutely. I pirated everything. And I definitely don't still do that to this day sometimes. But anyway, what Gabe was saying is like, okay, yeah, we need realism, but we need to make it fun. And it's just weird that he's talking about that because I think I was the first one to comment. It's like, I don't give a fuck how real it is. Is it going to be a fun game? You know, like, and even then, like, Red Dead 2 is very realistic, but I gotta say, it was so much, it was like over designed in my eyes that it, like, I had fun, I guess, but it was just so much shit that was like realistic that I was like, I don't know, I never finished it. I played like 10 hours of it. I'm like, man, this shit is, it's like, okay, if I wanted to play a simulation cowboy game, that would be the game. And I love Red Dead 1, but like it was so much, it just wasn't fun for me. And I know people love it. Maybe if I played it again, I may also fall in love with it.
Otherwise, it loses any sort of impact.
And I think using realistic graphics will instantly date
We were
your
on the
game.
same page in terms of what the game should look like, which would be just like sort of alien in a very naturalistic
It's like
kind
the
of way.
art style, the
Like,
aesthetic is
these are creatures
incredibly
from another
important.
dimension, another planet
wow.
that look like they evolved in a way. And Chuck had he came from Duke Nukem. He made a bunch of monsters that went in a sort of a different direction. And for a while, the game had a hard time.
It is a product of the 90s.
Single vision.
All the ones that look like genitals.
The 90s had such weird shit.
And all the ones with shiny bits that look like alien soldiers.
Z-bots,
That was the thing when I first came in. Ted
Reef Sharks,
in mind, and trying to figure that out.
Trying to
find the
Micromice from Mars.
Work. Yeah.
Ted had
he really liked the Wayne Barlow aesthetic, and I had a little bit different, but it worked. Ted made these really weird. He did the head crab. You know, that's pretty much the symbol of it all. And I remember taking his head crab and putting it on a scientist and making the zombie.
That's so
right.
cool.
Well, we pretty much we talked, and it's like, okay, you do that, and Ted did the soldiers, I did the scientists. I did a lot of the aliens, and with the Hornet gun, I did the Hornet gun for that one as well too. You know,
you
the
stick
alien slave.
your hand up its
I did some
asshole.
animations for the bull
Kept
squid,
calling
or
it the
bull
asshole
chicken.
gun.
I have to call him that.
But that's a Ted creature there. The Hound Eye was Ted's as well.
Yeah, a lot of the fleshy. If it's got a
I love that kind of shit. I love this stuff.
That's a Tedism.
You can always tell Ted's designs because they're much more aquarium than aquarium and/or like unspeakables.
Big mama. That enemy has a giant nutsack.
It's a testicle, right?
Crab,
it's
head crab queen.
I concepted a guy in sort of NASA space.
Dude, I was all in
scientist
for
guy.
Power
He was actually
Rangers.
modeled
Holy
after
shit.
a couple of programmers I know.
I was all
big,
in.
beefy, bearded Linux programmers, And so that's where the HEV suit sort of emerged out of. There was a lot of desire for not having a space marine or a soldier be the guy.
I was
and
so
then Chuck
fucking
Jones
deep into Power Rangers.
went off and did a
until
pretty
like Turbo,
different version of.
I think Power Rangers Zeo was the last iteration that I was like really into. It had all the Zords and all that shit. Pyramidas. Still have it.
And Ivan is the prime
combine
example
everything.
of that.
God damn, I love it.
So you're looking at well, go look at Quake. It's like, okay, I'm looking at that, and he's got this incredibly boxy head, and you're always hearing, don't put too many polys in it. And it's like, okay, so Ivan got the square head, and
yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of Jason David Frank. He noped out, as it were. I made a video on that on YouTube, and I got a fuckload of subs, and it made me feel dirty because I really didn't. That wasn't a thing that like I wanted to gain subs from. I just wanted to like talk about my like childhood and like all of that stuff. Green Ranger, Jason David Frank. He noped out, and I got quite a few subs from that. And I don't know, maybe it's like made me feel dirty. Like I don't want to earn subs that way, But
it was kind of an early, just a rough prototype of a Gordon Freeman baby.
That is a man with a beard right there.
We didn't know what Gordon looked like. So it's like I was looking for somebody, and I found Mike Harrington. It's like, Mike, what does Gordon look like? I don't know. Put yourself in there. It's like, oh, okay. And so I went
just like
in
a
and
regular
put kind
dude.
of my likeness on the early Gordon model.
He's like the most generic guy ever.
And it kind of stayed
Did
there.
you have a ponytail?
I was ex-tattoo artist, so yeah, I definitely had. I don't have anything to work with now, but yeah, that point I had a ponytail on.
If you play the game, you know that it's Chuck. If you play multiplayer and you see the model, it's.
But yeah, if you look on the back of that, there's this little four triangles, and he's got a little ponytail back there. I did the G-Man, and again, that one was Gabe was talking about the 60s.
I'm definitely.
So we
not
needed
giving up.
our own equivalent of that.
Because after a while, after playing with the game for a whole, people realized like, hey,
no, I'm not saying like it got me down and I don't want to do it. I was just like, I really wish putting that video out hadn't been the way to get all those subs. You know what I'm saying? That's what I absolutely did. Like, I'm not monetized on YouTube yet, but if I were, I would have cut that out. I don't know. Just like if I'm trying to do something like, okay, I'm doing this Arion lore timeline video like that. Yeah, absolutely. Fucking give me all the subs. Love it. It's just, if you count subs as like profit, I don't want to profit off of anyone's death. It's not getting me down or anything. It's just, I don't know, something I felt.
We made this character, and just in this one office scene in the beginning, where he's behind the window and he's talking to a scientist or something, and he's like, he looks really creepy. It was late in the day that we thought,
the G-Man.
Okay, well, he's going to be the big bad behind all of this. Like, scatter him around in places that you can't get to him, but he's...
Dude, like I said, I've been going down this rabbit hole. I think that guy, the G-Man, I also Game Theory did a video on it too. I thought it was pretty interesting. He's like the most enigmatic figure, and it really, really frustrates me if we don't get a Half-Life 2 or whatever, that we're never gonna know. He's like, oh, my employer sent me. I don't know, it's so weird. Like, I want to know so much more about him But maybe it's even better that you don't, you know. Maybe leaving that mystery like facilitates conversation about it, and that in and of itself is fun. But god damn it, I really wish they would make a, not even Half-Life 3, but like a Half-Life 3 Portal 3 like combined game. Like your Chell or Shell, I call her Shell, I think it's Chell, but whatever. Like co-op, like okay, you're Gordon Freeman and you're Shell, whatever. That would be the new game. Like really merge the two universes together. Because I mean, goddamn, you know, fighting off the Combine and everything. You know, you got these portal things, and Freeman is like the damage dealer or whatever. Man, that'd be such a fucking good game. I made myself sad now because we're never gonna get it.
There, mysteriously.
There wasn't enough in the beginning of the game. It's like we need another monster. Head crabs weren't enough.
Yeah,
it got kind of repetitious. I think I grabbed Ted and said, I need them to do this and this. And so he whipped it out in not much time at all. I'm gonna get the timing just right. And I have
whenever you get to like the twist later with the Vortigons.
And once it was working, everybody said, oh.
Those are the Vortigons, the invading species, at least as much as you know. At the end, again, I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a part where you're like, oh, fuck. Like, it instantly generated a feeling of like, holy shit, I feel terrible now. Because, goddamn, I was like on the level of like the Final Fantasy VII Eris scene.
Just go back and sprinkle that back.
That I would feel something like that playing Half-Life.
And that was because we introduced them a little earlier than we were planning.
Yeah, because they weren't real tough. They weren't supposed to be tough.
But they were ranged.
But they're ranged, and they were fun, and they had a big show, and like the
I haven't.
a bunch of stuff.
What is that? Shut up. Oh yeah, by the way, Half-Life, the speed run, somebody, the number one in the world, beat it in 26 minutes, 17 seconds. That is wild. I'd actually love to watch that. What is it? No one lives.
I remember the assassin like came in pretty late.
That was it. It was like, okay, I have
fuck those assassins.
It was already done. It was already all modeled, already all animated, and the requirement was it couldn't have any new animations and any new anything. So had to come up. I grabbed a bunch of Steve Bond's AI and banged that thing out. I built a level.
Never heard of it.
Super crude, but it had all the right spacing and all the right heights and all the right geometry.
Again, it's just a presentation where
this part of the game.
Creature gets
I died
to shine.
so many times.
This enemy
Terrible.
gets to shine, and is your entire focus for that scene, and it's kind of a memorable experience because it just takes place in a different fashion than other encounters.
What's the elevator pitch for No One Lives Forever? Like, you know what an elevator pitch is, right? I assume. It's like if you had to explain the concept of your movie or game or whatever, and the time it takes on an elevator ride, like to like fully pitch it. What is that elevator pitch?
When you get knocked out, and there's all kinds of like the lights go out, and you get dragged through a corridor and things. So, again, it's something you remember in the game.
Oh yeah, yep, that was really cool. Damn, I just want to replay it. Like I legitimately want to boot up Black Mesa right now and just go through it again.
We just did a lot of playtesting and did a lot of level building and used all of the monsters, and you used everything that we had developed.
Those things
and started seeing which ones kind of stuck out.
It's like what's the trypophobia, the people that have an aversion to tightly placed holes. Yeah. These I don't have that, but these I can understand why people do.
A little oddly, like we had the hound eyes that Ted had concepted, and Kelly had done great sounds for
fuck,
them.
well, you just sold me on Austin Powers.
Like very oddly plausible sort of alien creature.
You just sold
and
me
Chuck
on that.
did what we called the Panther Eye, which was this big black panther
I
looking
love Austin Powers.
Creature that also just had a big red eye for his face and a big shark fin coming out the back. And design-wise, he seemed like this is a very useful creature. You know, it's like when you design things, you know, you like to have a gradient of difficulty, a gradient of escalation in threat. And so if we had these hound eyes, then oh yes, this like panther, bigger, scarier looking thing would be more of a threat. It was in the game for a long time, and then sort of just worked its way out because folks couldn't find a way to incorporate a creature like that into the environment and make.
Here's an interesting question. Do you think it would be beneficial for companies to show off even like really early kind of stuff to the public, or are they right in not showing it off until it's completely finished? But the drawback of that is basically going radio silent, because I know the developers, they don't want to show something off because people might expect it to be like that, but then obviously things change, as they're talking about right now. But like, the reason I asked that is like Overwatch and even WoW. Like if you watch the last BlizzCon, since I got advertisement, actually. No, I'm just talking about the reason I thought about it is like Overwatch. I play a lot of Overwatch. I've gotten back into it because it kind of won me over again, because it got bought up by Microsoft, and now they're like incredibly transparent since they're no longer coupled with Activision. They're just a Microsoft studio now. They showed off a bunch of shit. But Blizzard is notorious for like just fucking going radio silent. It's kind of like Prime 4 now. In fact, Metroid Prime 4 is probably a better example, because we've heard fuck all. We've heard fuck all about that game. And like, I wish they would show anything, like anything at all, but they won't do it. And I'm like, okay, well, if it takes that long to develop, like you announce it and then it doesn't come out for like 47 years, like the hype dies down. Like, shouldn't you be like, yeah, this is what we're working on, you know, it's not finished, obviously. But then I guess people get angry at them when it's not in the game because they don't understand how game development changes and evolves as you're creating. I don't know. It's weird. I guess there's like a happy medium that I'd like, but fuck, I hate it when people just go radio silent. You have no idea what's going on.
Make it
a little transparency reasonable. Would be nice.
The Stuka Bat was it was something
Prime?
that I had did.
I love
just
Prime
a
2.
weird, another
Prime 2 is
creature
my
from
favorite.
the air. We had the Chub Toad that we were going to use as.
To be fair though, Prime 1 is the better game, but Prime 2 is my favorite. It's very similar to how I feel about like the Chrono series. Chrono Cross is my favorite JRPG of all time. Has been since launch. I do recognize that Chrono Trigger is the better, more like complete, wholesome experience. It's just I prefer that. Same thing with like Legend of Korra, and I know that's blasphemy, but Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. I fucking love Korra more than Avatar The Last Airbender. But again, I acknowledge that Avatar The Last Airbender is the better show. I just preference and all that.
As a feeding animal to help, and yeah, they had a mechanic to where they were going to use this to distract monsters so you could possibly get by. And it pretty much
those things,
fruition to where we created the object, but then again, time became the factor and it had to get cut.
Artists were creating characters. The responsibility for texturing the game world fell on the shoulders of these.
I grew up just outside DC, and so there's all these like big really banal office buildings, and that's kind of the direction I went. So it started becoming a facility. And so I started making these kind of linoleum tiles and the drop ceiling, the concrete block wall, the black and white tile floor.
She was like the texture artist for for most of the game. It's just an overwhelming amount of work.
Originally I was hand painting all of the textures, and you can really see a shift in some of them where they go from hand painted to photo reference. The photo references are much better.
Interesting.
So I was all over Seattle, Harbor Island, Gasworks Park, getting rusty metal things. What can I get good pictures of that is
so cool,
vaguely industrial and interesting to look at, and then how can we use this? And so
that's so fucking awesome.
Box cars, and I don't know how many hallways in Half-Life are the side of a train car kind of thing. The Kirkland Costco, a lot of time in the Kirkland Costco, getting just packages of, I don't know why I needed snacks or something.
That's funny. After your work, planned release date of November '97. It got pushed back.
The first year.
There it is. It's the only thing that matters. The only thing is the game fun.
Was all about opportunity, and it wasn't quite as focused. We were finding our footing.
We were getting into the.
You can have as much like volumetric cloud
in '97, and it's
whatever
like
water physics. If it's not fun, what's even fun?
This is like quick knockoff, cash grab, stupid, and let's not do that. There was a lot of disconnect between what all of the different groups were doing, what engineering was doing and what level design was doing and what animation was doing. We had a bunch of monsters that had no plans to get in the game because nobody else was assigned to work on them. We had a bunch of levels that like, what's supposed to go in here? Oh, I don't know, everybody's gonna do a bunch of stuff. And like, no, that doesn't work that way.
So here we were, all these people doing all these cool things, and just everything's just this random collection of, oh, here's a cool moment and a cool this, and and then
I love level design coming from a tabletop RPG like DM. For the pet, oh my god, I'm so fucking old. Like 23 years I've been doing that. I love that shit. Love it. I've never tried to do level design in a 3D engine though. I think I should probably fix that. And I keep saying it, but I want to boot up Halo Infinite and go into the Forge, which I have absolutely no idea how to use, but I have an incredibly cool idea for a level. Yeah, they were. What like fascinated me, she said she was like hand painting all the textures. That sounds like a ridiculous amount of work. Like, fuck that. Go out, take pictures, edit it a little bit, slap it on there. Hell yeah. I mean, goddamn. Hand painting all of that. Fuck. Can't even imagine.
Oh, now on to the next thing. Because the way we were building the game was every level designer was kind of his own silo, his own universe.
Hell yeah.
And I think that just grew out of our, kind of mod developer roots, but it wasn't cohesive, and it certainly didn't have a strategy for like maximizing any of that stuff.
You must.
Here's the thing, right? Because it just occurred to me, he's talking about like everyone was kind of mods and stuff, making their own shit. Had this been Nintendo, Half-Life would have never been released, because making mods and fan games, fuck those people, even though they're better than us. Like, fuck. I love Nintendo properties, they're my favorite. Fuck, I do not like the company. I do not like their like set of standards. For the community, the fans.
We reviewed all the levels. It was like the first time everybody piled into a room,
right?
And Gabe had his crazy Hellraiser chair with the beautiful Mac monitor. And we played for 2 days. He played everyone's levels. But I remember one moment he turned around. He was like this with his hair. He's going, "We're gonna fail. We're gonna fail. We're gonna fail. We're gonna fail. We're gonna fail." And I was just like, I was like, oh shit, this isn't good.
We were doing our best. trying to make this game and the story. And we had a schedule from Sierra, and it was a tight schedule. And we told them, like, we're not going to ship
I
this.
miss Sierra.
And we realized that you're not going to pay us
Sierra.
to continue developing.
I mean,
this,
Tribes
we're going to do it anyway.
Late is just for a little while, suck is forever, right? We could try to force this thing out the door, but that's not the company we want to be. That's not the people we want to be. That's not the relationship we want to have with our customers.
And so we kind of, Kelly and I kind of sat down
attitude.
and sort of tried to take an inventory of all this cool stuff we had built, and why weren't we just, building more on top of that? And those discussions kind of led to us building this kind of design cabal process to try to give some cohesion to the game and kind of changing the way we were approaching it.
And so a cabal was a small group of people.
You have to have like
there's like an
united vision.
Level designers, engineers, and
you're not just like, oh, we have this, and this, and this. Like, how the fuck do we put it together?
Level. There was the arc that Mark had written, so we knew how that fit into the story.
And we got a small group of people together, and we started with the beginning, and we went through literally what map do we need to build to tell us the story we're going to have.
I love all these
what does that connect to?
Storyboarding things.
The strongest and most influential thing that came out of them was, to me, the sketches. And they were really the visual meeting notes, right?
We came up with a formula for how that worked. We had a certain percentage of the time where you were fighting, a certain percentage of the time where you're exploring, a certain percentage of the time where you're solving puzzles. And so
there was so many more puzzles than I thought there was going to be in Half-Life. Like, I had no idea.
Testing. Everything seems to be in order.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa.
See, this is the zoomer filter. If they're not instantly doing something, like immediately, if they don't get that like immediate like dopamine hit, they'll be like, fuck this game. Like the beginning is just a filter for those people, because I don't think you ever get into like to anything real substantial until like maybe 10 minutes in.
Research facility personnel.
The whole opening of the game was specifically a reaction to how all the other first-person shooters were, whether they had cutscenes or not. Like sometimes, like they would just open without a cutscene, but you're standing in a room with a gun and you're gonna
go kill everything.
So we could look at examples of all that, and I think there was expectation that that's what Half-Life had to do because every other game was doing it.
I can tell you the number of people who started up the game, were staring at it, and then accidentally bumped their mouse and realized this is live.
Yeah.
And as simple as that sounds, it was mind-blowing for so many people because there was too much going on. This isn't real time. This is a recording,
That was sort of the way we, stumbled through.
It's such good like environmental storytelling.
Tricks. It was like, well, what can we do?
Good.
You could do this in a movie or a story, but nobody's doing this in first-person shooters.
You're this anonymous scientist, and you're riding on this train into work and rolled the credits at the beginning. It was kind of like a cinematic experience almost. Like, I don't think games had really gone down that.
I've thought of this, and Doom 3 was, but the thing about that, I mean, fuck that flashlight. They fixed it on the console. The thing about it is, though, and neither approach is like good or bad, right? Like not doing stuff, like setting up the story versus like, okay, like the original Doom, like fuck it, plop them in, go kill, the hordes of hell or whatever. But I think like you don't want to fuck around with that. Like if you've already established something, because a lot of people had problems with Doom 3. Like, it wasn't like, oh my god, I have to do this and this and this. Like, just let me fucking kill shit, right? And that is how Doom 2016 happened. Is like, the very first part of that game, it's like, okay, do the tutorial or whatever. And then he's like, nah, fuck that. And he just punches it, puts on his helmet, like, goes and kills shit. So both of them are, like, equally valid. But you don't want to change it up in the middle of your franchise. you know?
It's so funny to look at it now because it's so primitive, but at the time it felt like you were really in this Black Mesa world.
It still holds up. It still holds up.
Survived from the first year, so a lot of that geometry was from that first version of the game, but in a very minimal way, right? Just the basic style of some of the hallways, the curved corners in the hallways, things like that. They more became sort of like Lego pieces that John could use and stitch together. And
my favorite part of the game,
like Lego pieces that,
especially in the Black Mesa remake, I went and looked at every fucking whiteboard and I was like, oh shit, that's the Schrodinger equation. Like right here, that's the universal law of gravitation. Like, I love that shit. They really put so much effort. Like, it's really about the details, right? A game can be great, but a very detailed game that is great is like amazing. Like the top of their game. Right? They could have just put a bunch of little like squiggly lines that really didn't mean anything here, but no, they went out of their way. And it's not just this. They did a lot of different shit like that with actual physics. That is what I love about it.
That John could use and stitch together and extrude. And I know Brett did a lot of the raw geometry from pre-disaster, and then John did most of the work to ship it, and then the post and the train ride was all John, I think.
The Sector C, so those are heavily influenced by NASA control rooms with my favorite green hammerite.
The hands.
Really,
it's like Zelda hands.
Like we started with
Ocarina of Time when Zeri is waving to you in her hand. It's just like a fucking club
and people
fist.
Are getting lost, and I did the color stripes to help people follow them places.
One of the things that was actually super exciting was how quotidian a lot of it really was. You know, the lunchroom with the microwave.
Again, detail. They did not need to.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, all this work so you can start a microwave and blow up some soup, which was a reference to real life, because that
they didn't need to do it
regularly. Like
they didn't need to do it, but you know what? Since they did it, that is just like the little flourish, that cherry on top.
Challenged with kitchen appliances, and you know, at one point we had a company fire. we had a lot of things going on in that kitchen.
All of that stuff had a real kind of eloquence that in the late 90s, in a world where everything was so over the top, you know, but we still got to go on flights of fancy.
It's just like people doing normal day-to-day shit. It really like immerses you.
I think like a super pivotal moment for me was when we came in this one morning and we saw the test chamber sequence that Kelly and John Guthrie and Wedge was in that office, and Dario Driller, they were all in this corner dark office where so much cool stuff happened. But so Kelly and John stayed up all night and did the test chamber sequence.
I bet if I would have played this for the first time when it came out,
in that room,
I'd have been blown away.
It was just
because even now I'm like, yeah,
you know, just
that's some
what
fucking
can we
good
do
shit.
to solve this problem? How do we connect what's happening before to what's happening after?
Like on
This
launch
needs to be
day?
somehow important, but we just don't know what to do. John and I talked about it. I went home that night and I sort of sketched out, like, you know, maybe we could do something cinematic. We'll take the camera away, we'll turn the lights off, we'll do sounds, we'll just throw everything we can at it. You know, we built that basically that day. You know, it was just a sort of a one-day throw it together.
And like you get these flashes, and it just adds to like the mystery. Like, oh shit, I gotta figure out what the hell is going on.
I played through it, and it was like, damn, I have not seen this in any medium, in anything before. Experienced something like this. This immersive experience of this actually happening like this, and at that point, it's like, okay, I see what it is we're doing, and it's this kind of immersive. Unbroken.
You know, the GameCube was the first system that ever broke on me. I was playing Star Fox Adventures. I was so irritated. I was very sad.
Between before the disaster sequence and after the disaster sequence, I felt
I did too.
I
remember renting The Adventures of Lolo for the NES. Love that game.
Possible, it's going to be tied together. Whereas before that, there was a lot of really good stuff, and a lot of little things all disconnected, but you guys managed to tie two very different parts of the game together really well, and I thought, okay, now I feel like we're on a track for finishing this product. To me, it shifted my brain to have a lot of
again, I cannot believe I slept on this for 20 years.
Generating a lot of content that
however long
exists independently of other content.
One of the ways we were funding our
25
development
years.
was we sold a preview copy of Half-Life 2, a video card company, I forget which one. And so they had in their contract that we had to deliver it to them by a certain date. And we got like the first 3 levels done for them. It was really a good
And I didn't really expect it to be like as horror centric as it is. There's some fucked up shit in this game. Like that guy hanging.
And I was.
If you go up to him, they pull him up in there. I'm like, oh shit!
Like,
all right,
I can't believe you guys let this get out.
I ain't doing
like,
that.
This wasn't us, you know. And then it turned into something amazing where.
Oh, I did the same thing. I did it for
It was all over, and we started, you know.
I did it exactly for me. It was the 64. I'd leave that on. I remember playing The Legend of the Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, and that required a memory card, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? It's supposed to save, like every Nintendo game is saved on the cartridge. Yep, not that time. And then I remember it like it was yesterday, and it turned out I was at my grandparents when it did that, and I was like, oh shit. So we went to go and buy a memory card a few days later, and I was like, okay, we have to do this. I'm gonna have to turn this off. And then I put it in, and at that time, like, it didn't accept the card. Like, you had to start the game with the memory card in it. It's devastating. Like, destroyed my entire world. I lost so much progress.
Seeing it, you know, online, what people are thinking about it, and I forget which magazine who said usually we don't review, you know, beta software, but they reviewed it and said,
wait,
this
what?
is awesome.
Hardcore
And
what?
That gave us a tremendous
Hardcore on game.
You know, it was an outside validation of what we were trying to do. You know, that it was the right thing.
Yeah, whenever you get outside, you're like, oh my god, I'm finally fucking out.
I think just with first-person shooters already, they were kind of like the vowels of weapons you put into first person. You got to have a shotgun, and there's obviously a pistol. You know, you need your.
They need to have impact.
That's going to make you struggle and you drive you to get another weapon.
Oh yeah,
That was a lesson in how to make all of your weapons as orthogonal as possible. So each one did something completely different. All of the crazy weapons, those are my fault. So I did like the rocket launcher and the Gauss gun and the snarks.
I got that and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh,
bug alien weapon thing?
Snarks always made me laugh. It was just always funny to watch people run away from the snarks.
The squeak grenade. It's called the snark, but I wanted something, a little creature that you could bring up and hold.
That's so 90s.
Start running. Because people
so
are
fucking 90s.
campers at that point. So you wanted the anti-camp weapon. But it was kind of, you could literally find a little hidey hole and just sit up there and just throw out 30 of them. And they're all over the map.
I need to.
And
I've like, there's so many games that came out this year. I really wanted to do a hardcore, you know, one life No Man's Sky playthrough, because I think watching people play hardcore stuff is very, very fun, because you're always like, is he gonna die now? Is he gonna die? When is he gonna die? In fact, I really want to get, like, I need to update my WoW subscription, because I do want to play classic hardcore. I know it will make me rage and throw all of my monitors and my computer out the window, but I think it would be fun up until the point whenever you die. Clearly,
you'd sit there, you do your finger blue. Yeah, you do your finger towards him, and he'd get mad at you and he'd swat. So that was the inspiration for that particular animation. And then the other, that big alien creature.
The WoW hardcore though.
We needed some kind of alien weapon. Drew that one, built that one, animated that one. But that was also another one that would, whenever you could get in a corner and just shoot them in the air because the hornets would track. I think that was the biggest thrill, is brainstorming these with your crew, making them, building them, putting them in the game, and then playing with them, and then they're fun.
So there's sort of a trope of having
Yep.
a melee weapon. I think it was Steve
Love the
Long,
crowbar.
Ken Birdwell,
Love
and
it.
I were saying we wanted a device
It is
where
like
the world was
the
reacting
thing that
really goes back
defines
to the
Half-Life,
theory of
the
fun.
crowbar.
But we were just running around like idiots, smacking the wall.
Hell yeah.
It's an odd thing to know in retrospect, but at the time it felt profoundly satisfying to be able to smack walls. And that was just an example of how that fairly abstract notion of what fun was ended up translating into a set of decisions that were really visceral. When you're going around whacking a wall, a crowbar is an obvious thing to whack the wall with.
It's so satisfying to break those boxes. All the music and sound effects were created by a single person, same person who wrote the code to create the DSP reverb effects. Wait, we got a Dark Side Fill reverb effect? What? What? I've watched other like documentaries talking about how they make all these sound effects. It's wild. Like they come up with the craziest shit.
Going to happen, that's really makes it powerful. So we're always on the lookout for that in level design, in monster design, communicating, because the AI is often hidden from the player. So we use the sound to broadcast the internal state of the AI.
I don't really understand what he's talking about there.
They tell you, I'm
like the AI is
I'm
hidden.
Throw a grenade. I'm taking cover. You know, they are broadcasting as constantly as they can what's about to happen. So it was really important to try to keep those states distinct, so that as you play the game, you're actually, whether you're aware of it or not, you're starting to be able to tell what's about to happen.
Yeah.
We knew he was a musician too, so he could do sounds, but you know, he also decided he was going to write the sound engine, and then he wrote the soundtrack.
I need to boot up Fruity Loops and start working or finishing
for the game
some
and
shit.
Won an award, and it was crazy.
There just weren't that many of us. You know, I had a little bit of a background playing music. I understood the sound engine really well, so it was really easy for me to just hook sounds in, and I understood.
Didn't she used to have like a Sound Blaster sound card to get like any kind of music?
A little bit.
Like a long time ago.
And then I just heavily modified them. Usually those are animal sounds, reversing, changing the pitch, chopping them up and rearranging them. Head crabs were rats. The little squeaky, yeah, that's a rat slowed way, way down and then reversed.
Fuck, I love that. So fascinating to take a peek behind the curtain.
Cool thing that Kelly built. When you got an event, it sounded like you were an event, and that wasn't really happening, I guess, at least in Quake and other games I was playing back then.
It kind of makes me want to, like sneaking in the vents, kind of makes me want to maybe possibly attempt Metal Gear Solid playthrough again. I've only ever tried it once. I got, like, I started the game up, I died on the very first screen, turned the PlayStation off, never played it again. Like, oh shit. Hey, what's going on? Watching some Half-Life.
We had these huge
documentary.
silos, these caverns.
25 years.
Spaces. The day they had their own
And the rest
DSP, it
made
exactly
an
enormous difference, right? You believe the space.
You make the problem, so you give them the solution.
Kelly tells me, oh God, Chuck Jones asked him if the characters could speak and have their mouths move. And Kelly said, you know, that's super easy.
Back in '98.
You just look at the audio and see if they're talking and do that. But like getting their mouth to move is stupid, he says to me. And I look, Chuck Jones told me the same thing. I told him making the mouths move is super trivially easy, but
the Canadians off of South Park
of the speech would be impossible. And Kelly and I just both looked at each other and like, oh. And so I went back to my office and he went back to his office. And I think within an hour, the characters were talking and their mouths were moving. And it was only because we sat there at lunch bitching about an animator who was 100% right.
Star.
Leaving me here.
Scientist conversations, Kelly and I made that. When they're next to each other, one scientist will occasionally play a...
That is that is leading into a thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which like says that stupid people more often think that they are far smarter than they really are. There's like a corollary to that where incredibly intelligent people vastly underestimate their abilities.
A question, and the other one will give him an answer. And it's not a script, you know? It just it might not always make sense.
I am rather looking forward to this analysis, aren't you? I don't think so.
Einstein.
But it had a bunch of personality. It was really cool.
Oh, you did?
I worked on getting those guys to look at you and turn their heads.
When we first added the ability for scientists to respond to the player and other things in the environment.
And it is like the most recognizable thing. It's like so true. Stupid people think that they know whatever. it's funny.
They came flying down the elevator, and one of them looks at you and goes, "Oh, hello, Gordon."
Oh, really?
And then they explode into a pile of jibs at the bottom.
Jibs. It's jibs? I thought it was gib. Wait, no. It comes from the word giblet, right? When you like burst a body into just tiny pieces of meat.
I hadn't really started working on the biggest part of the game, which I ended up shipping, which was surface tension, prior to then. A lot of the work that I had done was the Alien Research Labs, which turned into questionable ethics, and all of that was ditched. There's some concepts.
I'm sure I missed like so much stuff
but
in
you know
the
what
game.
did make it through was power.
Like I need to go and play it again and like
that
pay
geometry
attention to
survived
everything.
Completely intact.
'Cause there's a
It was
lot
so
to it.
closely designed for that creature that because the creature survived, the levels survived along with it. Yeah, there's this sort of central circular thing where you have to rotate the train. And you have
I
to kill the
remember
guy
that.
first because he was always defending the way out. And then you have to go to like another area which looks very much like it was designed for Quake because pretty much
it was.
There was a flooded pump room and you have to drain.
I remember we used to gauge like
take the train.
how amazing a video game used to look
central to this whole thing.
simply by
And
its
then,
water
how do we block
physics.
the player, which is, I mean,
like
that's
that used to
pretty
be
much
the
like
bar.
design
How
point
good
number one for
does the
all
water
design.
look?
Okay, well, how do we prevent the player from just walking straight out through the exit? And
That's
you design
probably like
backwards from there.
I was in maybe 10th to 12th grade.
In the first year,
that seemed pretty
we
smart.
built a lot of world space, a lot of track, as we
am
call it.
smart
and
at
programmers would try to fit the
a
AI
few things
into the existing maps. What we did the second year was
I'm very stupid at many other things though.
Very
like I know my
constrained environments
physics,
that showcase
I know my
the
music.
AI. Let's
music
make
theory.
the ideal space for the AI, and then give that to the level designers.
That's
to
about the
incorporate
extent of
those
it.
elements into their map, so that it worked better and was more interesting. And that Gargantua was an example of that, and the grunts especially.
Yeah, we had the AI that Steve had been working on, and he had designed all these interesting
Like
encounters
English?
just in his test
Nah.
map, and so he.
I love writing.
Up high,
Don't get me wrong,
and
but
so
I'm
basically
terrible
we just
at
sort of re-leverage
like,
that. Okay, let's start.
like,
there it comes in low, and there's
I don't know,
a Marine
the
on the same
rules
level.
of
The next
English
one, they're up
never
high,
my strong
and
suit.
then they come running down because it was really neat to see them retreat. They'd try to run back up the stairs and try to flank you from another side.
But to be completely fair, the internet has
like I mentioned
probably made
earlier,
every
was this
single person
really young
like
guy
that.
who had been making mods and Quake C, really the designer for so much of the AI. I mean, all the stuff that's good about the soldiers, the grunts you fight in Half-Life.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a language we could sort of use to say, this is a place they can climb. This
What
is
is
a place
the
they can jump
next
to. This
like
is a good place to
really
hide.
big
These are good places to go
shooter
in general, or interesting
that's going to come
places. So,
out?
the AI has
aside from like
help.
Call of Duty, which I don't talk about.
We were trying to build something that utilized, the train technology that Jay was working on.
Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah.
we thought, well, let's give
That's
the player
fair.
something that they can
That's
control,
fair.
but in a limited way. We couldn't do vehicles like you see in Half-Life 2. So we did this.
That's completely
the
fair.
most constrained vehicle we could think of, which was the train. Players didn't always bring the train with them. And so you had a bunch of these poor people walking down.
Really, I should go back and play this.
And
I
yeah,
only ever
and the
played
rails
Black
were-
Mesa.
That was part of the
remake
feedback
of
from
this.
part of the feedback was, well, you can just bypass all that, so we made the rails electric.
Americans are dumb
well,
as
maybe
shit.
that'll teach them to bring the train with them. But the basic idea was, let's explore that, and then also reveal some of the hidden deep parts of the base, the abandoned areas where you might get a lot more of the Zen creatures. We had designed some of the ones that didn't make it into the game to appear there, bats that would dive bomb you, and while you're on the
that shotgun is like the best shotgun
we
in
also
any
tried hard
shooter
to not make it feel like it was this
ever.
super linear thing, so we tried to give little branches.
It is remarkably accurate at long range. Yeah, we do got, for better or worse, I suppose. I agree with you on that.
Well, there's a really good sketch that Kelly Bailey made, which basically charted.
Dude, I need to finish Mass Effect Andromeda.
It went through the cliffside, and it went through
Let me
areas where
play that
tanks
next.
were
I think I'm gonna go and eat after this is over and then come back.
Yeah, you went through the desert.
Fuck, I need to play. I need to.
And the helicopters,
That's what I'm gonna
and then
do.
across
I need
the
to
dam.
beat that.
It was pretty extensive. When I saw that sketch, I was so motivated to.
I
just
stopped
start
playing
building
it
all that
because of
So I ran ahead with a lot of level
October like spooky games.
It seems like a lot
and
of
now
it
that's
stuck
over. I
in
need to
some
go
way
back and
or
beat
another.
it. I'm pretty
which is
far
really
along.
Amazing. I did the dam, which was funny. I just did that in a day.
Yeah, and
It's like it was like about 4 or 5 hours. I did a Hoover Dam thing because I like the Hoover Dam.
I saw a concept of the cliffside. I think Harry Teasley built that render of the skybox.
Yes.
And I just thought, holy crap, this is perfect for Vertigo. Like whatever we do here, we have to play on Vertigo and like narrow little ledges and places.
You
would
couldn't do
normally
anything
dodge a
like that
grenade
in Doom.
You can't.
The verticality of the levels.
And that's the moment. That's really the big part of that level is that reveal. The play is kind of supports it afterward. The helicopter comes in, you're fighting the helicopter, which is awesome.
Oh, okay. I have never even tried to look for an Xbox simulator. It's never crossed my mind. There's some stuff I would like. Shit, now you got me thinking. I would definitely enjoy playing Conker's Bad Fur Day remake.
Had a bunch of textures, and then every time
literally
I made
never
new
even
ones,
looked
whoever
for
was working on the
an
new
Xbox
levels would be
simulator.
like, "Oh, fresh textures! I'm going to use those." Somebody making another level would start using them, and I was like, "No, this is chaos. We need to restrict this." So I started naming the texture sets by the level that they were made for. I was trying to enforce some sort of like visual cohesion, and so that really ended up working.
There was one level I did, it was the introduction of the sort of the bounce pads, the alien bounce pads in
I remember those. Those were like there
like,
for
okay, we're
5
getting
minutes.
closer to hitting the alien world. So I was, well, let's get a little bit of alien world infection into the real world. So I had done it just as a visual thing. John Guthrie made it 10
Do
times
what?
better.
Xbox?
And that's actually where he found the photo of my daughter, because I didn't put my daughter in Gordon's locker.
Conker's
I
Bad
hid
Fur Day
her
remake
in,
was
like,
on
this
Xbox.
destroyed office someplace,
Like the OG Xbox?
you know, as a little Easter egg for myself. And John went in and put my daughter's photo in Gordon's locker, which I think was a good decision.
Does that mean Gordon has a kid?
I still get questions about stuff that I spent 5 minutes on 25 years ago from people who've now thought about this for 25 years.
Yep.
They're thinking that there's 25 years worth of development went into this. I'm like, on some level, when you start talking about lore, I'm like,
Some people like misinterpret this shit and it gets so convoluted, and most often the people
in
are like,
the
I don't
entrance
know.
when you get off the train,
I just
and
put
there's
it
that
there.
lobby where there's a big map on it. And when we were making that map, that was fairly early on, I put a dot
It's the remake
in
on something.
New Mexico. And then that turned
No, the
into
original
Mark saw
Conquer
that
was
and
on
like, "Oh, where
Nintendo
is that? This is
64,
where we
and they
are."
remade it
And
for
then he named it Black Mesa.
the OG
That is a favorite
Xbox.
thing of mine, actually. If you come up with a name for something, and it evokes something, then you don't have to write the whole story. It's because it's a conspiracy plot. Everybody knows more about it than you do, so you don't have to answer those questions. You just keep raising questions and make the mystery kind of thing.
Like dialogue came in later.
They just put in a lot of seeds
came
in
later.
there, and if
those
they
helped
want
kind
to,
of
they can
sharpen
like
the
expand on
storytelling
that later.
aspect of it, because
It's a pretty
setting
popular
expectations
like
to get up
way
to the
of
surface, and then like, oh no,
storytelling.
they're not here to help us.
The whole thing about
yeah.
writing, right? Like keeping the exposition in
good
the
game
instead of outside the game.
Weird.
You know, give a
the remake on Xbox is like weirdly censored in some ways, but not in others. Like it's like they randomly censored other shit and decensored some other stuff that was originally censored on the Nintendo 64. It's very odd. Very odd.
A lot of credit to Mark.
After playtests,
very not plausible.
We'd realized that maybe you need more of a dialogue cue about something.
That's when we started to do like scientists who
What are you up to, Swedish?
Pop up in a corner and go that way. There's a few of those that we stuck in right at the end when we'd like, well,
Watching
we get one more session with Hal.
Official documentary on Half-Life 1, 25 years old.
Well, so much for
and I've been going down a Half-Life hole.
Containment is to kill everyone associated with the project. Judging from your hazard suit, I'd say you were part of what went wrong.
I knew Hal from San Francisco as an artist, cartoonist. He was also an animator and an actor.
He like voiced every scientist in that game.
So when we got down to the wire, we did a bunch of voice casting and nothing was right. And I just kept thinking of Hal. I finally just called him and said, Hal, I want you to at least talk to people here so they can hear your voice. And I got him on a speakerphone and I had a bunch of people gathered in my office. And I'm like, okay, Hal, everybody's here. And he's like, well, what would you like me to say? And everybody was like, this is him. This is the guy.
It's like every scientist.
Yeah, these ridiculous ties.
Another interesting voice thing was the G-Man. So we liked Mike Shapiro's work. So we knew we wanted to use him.
Mike Shapiro. Why does he sound familiar?
Barney and also
hey,
the G-Man on it. So we did a take on all the G-Man lines with kind of a straight voice, and it was thinking that, okay, we have something safe, but we're not super excited about it, and give us something else. And he does this crazy lizard voice.
The border world then is in our control for the
We're never going to figure out who or what
nasty
that person is. It's right
over there. I
don't like it. I need closure. I need to know shit.
Loved the crazy lizard voice, and so that's how it worked out.
Did you do the Nihilanth?
I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Nihilanth. Just imagine his head floating in space as a baby.
Yeah, that was weird. That's weird. Weird baby head thing. Very odd. Don't like how it makes me feel. Development, final months, team was scrambling. That's what we call crunch.
Gabe's office and I demanded Gabe to either fire Ken or I quit. And Gabe just laughed at me.
What's your favorite stuff to watch?
Response from Gabe.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Until Bill got there, I was the oldest guy there. It was hard because
I still haven't downloaded those fucking Mario Kart tracks, and I keep telling myself I'm going to.
Just moved out from
God damn it!
Wherever they did not have to go home in the evenings. I'd go home, see my kids when they were in bed. I would come back down the hill to Valve. Nobody else I worked with had to get up to get their kids up.
Before, like at the beginning of when I streamed, I tried to get, I downloaded the Half-Life 1 expansions because I wanted to play them.
18-hour days. That's no.
They're very old and it is very janky.
I can edit all day. I can design all day.
It wasn't a pleasant experience to try and even get it to stream.
With a bunch of incredibly capable, with an incredible team, you're gonna.
Hey, look, is that Gaben? Lord Gaben.
I don't usually crunch real hard. I get it done in like I come in, I work, I go home, and a lot of people were living like really long hours. The classic. Well, I'll come in at 1 and then goof around for a while and then work late into the late at night. I was employee 17.
That's
there was a woman that was.
Yep, that's pretty much par for the course. Fuck around and then wait, and then you have to like be under pressure and do shit.
I was the only woman on the team. That was not awesome.
I decided to become a baseball fan here after the birth of my first daughter, so she's the one in Gordon's locker, Isabel.
Does that mean Gordon has a daughter, though?
She's very special needs. She's 25 today. Cognitively, she's about 3 years old.
Oh, goddamn. Fuck.
So after her birth, in the middle of Half-Life production, it was really hard. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Because we were getting about 2 hours of sleep at a stretch, because she had to be fed through a tube in her stomach every 2 hours.
God damn.
I had a just a difficult time relating to the world when she was.
I couldn't do it.
I had a hard time just talking to people because I was just kind of tired and angry all the time. Yeah, my wife, she worked at Valve for a while. She did a bunch of textures for the game. Like I say, she did those soda machines. She did just a bunch of level textures. She textured Big Mama, the sort of boss creature. She textured him. But
incredibly large nutsack.
Isabella arrived, she obviously had a lot of issues. So yeah, I just had to stop working and stay with her at home. And it was the last year of Half-Life, and we pretty much crunched that whole year. So
that's like wild to think about. You know, you play a game, and obviously people had to, you know, they had to make that game, but you never really think about like who made that, what were they going through when they were making the game. Like, goddamn, shit.
I was at work a lot. It was hard. It was definitely a hard year.
Oh, I actually want to hear him talk about this. I haven't played this original version. Everyone says that this is terrible. I don't know. I played the Black Mesa thing, and I know they like redid almost all of it, as is my understanding. So this would be the reason that I would want to go back and play the OG game, just to see like what's going on here.
Games have often had this thing where they're just a little too attached to Star Wars, Blade Runner, Aliens. So it wasn't that hard to try to get people to go, let's think of something really alien. Like what Zen was initially was you're gonna go inside a huge alien organism and kill it or figure out how to turn it on or off or something like that. I didn't know we couldn't actually do that or what was involved.
What does it mean to have alien architecture or a planet that's biologically defining the structures in it, as opposed to what the tools we're good at, which is making rectangles?
And then slowly it scaled back till it was more and more corridors, and that everybody was really good at.
People were finishing up stuff and I was still working on Zen, because it was like it went through a lot of iteration, or at least we're trying to figure out what it was.
That's like clearly the worst part of the game.
Static concepts.
As I understand it.
Crunch for it as well.
Yeah, it was the end of the game.
Yeah.
I wanted to cut stuff out, and they're like, no, leave it in. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have any. There's.
And like for me, playing the Black Mesa remake,
after a lot of it was built, is like,
I think it's the best part of that game.
Give you a jump pack. That came
it's
later.
Incredibly beautiful.
There's a lot of stuff, especially in Zen, where you're getting close to a first draft of some things, right? Because we just didn't have time, and we got to the end of the game, and so
I think that's super fucked up. Like Blizzard, not anymore, but Blizzard used to be like, all right, it's done when it's done. Fuck it. Like they never did this crunch out by a particular times. Like it's fucking done when it's done. You know, and here it sounds like, okay, they were developing this and then they had to crunch to meet some sort of arbitrary deadline, and it made the game worse for it. And then we get the Black Mesa remake, which is effectively a fan remake sanctioned by Valve, and they don't have, you know, they didn't fucking have a deadline, so it's amazing what they did with it. Like crunch is awful.
We considered not going to Zen, but the art concepts people did were so cool.
For the Zen textures, I was deeply inspired by electron microscope imagery, and and we'd had so much of that regular structural texture material that I wanted to do something more organic.
STEM as well, is what they call it, scanning tunneling electron microscope.
That was really fun.
Wild. That shit is so fucking wild.
Incredibly challenging levels to make, because that editor was not friendly for organic shapes.
I built the little behaviors for the tree that hits you if you get too close, and the light stalk that kind of hides. But Ken did a bunch of AIs there, the floating controller guys.
The flying guys were great, but you had to set up air nodes for them to travel properly. I prototyped a lot, and some of those prototypes were used in the final battle,
boss,
I believe, and also for the Gonard, which I think Randy did.
The Gonard?
At some point, have to stop polishing
At some point, we have to like. It is
I don't
what
know.
It is.
I really did not like that
had
boss.
Fun up until that point,
Weird. Made me feel odd.
We're not going to get to that point, so who cares? It just has to finish, and it did.
Yeah, and there's always Half-Life 2 to win them back.
I love that sensation of being alone in an alien dimension, but the experience that people really liked in the game was scientists pop up and Barney pops up and you have companions and you have this feeling of companionship around you with all the other stuff that's going on. So a lot of people
they made a living, breathing world, and it makes you more immersed.
About the ending from the beginning, we would have figured out some ways to do that a little more.
November 19th, 98, Half-Life was released in game stores around the world. Most of the team and their families went on a vacation to Mexico. That's cool.
Huh.
Man, you know that had to be so fucking fun. You got this badass game everyone loves. Y'all are all going to Mexico, fucking getting shit-faced. New Mexico.
I was hurting so much I slept the night where I fell. Yeah, I woke up the next morning.
People probably fucking each other like nobody's business.
It's a good thing you were pretty young.
I remember after we'd gone final on the game, I was home one morning, taking a shower, and my wife asked me, like, it's done. Is it any good? Is the game any fun? Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Like, I hope so.
I don't think it's exaggerating by saying if any one of the crew had disappeared for a month, we wouldn't have shipped.
That's crazy.
It didn't matter who they were. Everybody was mission critical.
Vital part of the effort.
My inspiration from Valve, what I really took away with me was that the thing that is most important to me is what are we making? Coming in as a texture artist, you don't have a lot of expectations.
Shit, I forgot. I didn't even know they had a multiplayer.
I was able to have quite a bit of influence on,
AFK?
on the what.
I'm probably going to go get something to eat and boot up the stream
the
again.
The collection of people were diverse, at least like in their professional backgrounds, was kind of all over the place. And so figuring out how to work with all those people, but also just the fact that we had hired really stellar people who were good at collaborating, like the conscientious people, deeply passionate about.
I didn't really eat much today, like a few eggs and bacon.
That just was a recipe for a professionally, like, really good time.
It seems to me that
welcome back.
One of the things that good games do is make 2 games worth of stuff and then throw away the bad game.
Yeah.
And fortunately, like, Valve was able to do that. A lot of companies couldn't do that, but backstopped by Gabe.
Yeah, that's like crunch too, right? Like the ending of Halo 2 was not supposed to be that ending. People are like, the team was really fucking down about that.
Gabe and Mike, Valve could afford to do that.
Lord Gaben.
I always have absolutely
the
nothing
man, the myth, the
interesting to
legend.
say when people say, would you reflect on your legacy? Like, I really don't look back a whole lot. I'm always excited by
I'm very hungry.
So to me, it's like I can look back at the things we did, but to me, they're just sort of like the stepping stones to what we're going to be able to do in the future. That's just how I'm.
Ooh, thanks for the bits. Right? Changing 500. I need to watch that movie again. It's so fucking funny. Changing 500. What is his name? Wallace Barrett or something? He's funny. He's in The Princess Bride, I think. No. Robin Hood Men in Tights. I think that's his name. There it is. There it is. There's your Counter-Strike. You just showed it off. Counter-Strike, man. All came from this game. There's still like 30 fucking million people playing it. Let's see. That's an interesting thing. IMDb. Man, that's a great documentary. Like, it really makes me want to just boot up Half-Life 1 right now. I'm not going to, but it really does. Let's see how many people are playing Counter-Strike. Okay, I said 30 million. That was way off, but still. The most played game right now, Counter-Strike 2, fucking 500,000 people online as we speak. You did? Yeah, it's so good. I mean, come on. You gotta give it to a game that, I mean, it made Counter-Strike. And to be funny, yeah, to be funny, the two top most popular games effectively came from mods of other games. That is wild to think about. Dota 2, Dota, Defense of the Ancients, that was Warcraft 3. That's a Warcraft 3 mod. Counter-Strike, Half-Life mod. And, yeah. Just those two. Look, Half-Life is trending. Good for that, man. Maybe they'll pull in more people. Maybe if they, like, get more hype for Half-Life, they will make a Half-Life 3. I know they're not going to. I know they're not going to. Let me believe this. I have so very little. 1.6. I'm gonna actually get a Counter-Strike 2. It's free, right? Is it not free? I'm pretty sure it's free. Let's check before I go get food. Actually, the next thing I'm going to play, I need to play is Left 4 Dead 2. That is using that engine, that source engine. Not part of the universe or anything, but everyone's like, oh my god, it's the most amazing game. I've never played it. I played Back 4 Blood, and I really had a lot of fun with that, and people are like, oh, that game's fucking garbage. Go play Left 4 Dead 2. So if I like Back 4 Blood and it's garbage, and Left 4 Dead 2 is so much better, I will see if it lives up to the hype. I am for like 30 minutes. I'm gonna be back soon and play something. But yeah, I'm gonna go catch some food. I'll be let's see, it's 1. Yeah, 30, 45 minutes, something like that. Maybe earlier. I don't know. See what I'm gonna make. So yeah, I'll be back in a little while. And we'll I don't know, do something there. Raid chalky soup. Okay. How many people do I even have? I haven't raided anyone in so long. How do I do that? I have no idea. Hold on. Chalky soup. How do I see? I like actually have no fucking clue how to raid people. I'm a terrible Twitch streamer. I had to look it up. Incredibly embarrassing. Is it like a command, like /raid or something? The raids work, do /raid, you type that. Okay, I think I see. Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. Get this thing done. We'll see if this works. Hey, there it is. All right. Raid now, I guess. There's nothing. There's like one person in here. All right. I'll be back in a little while.